Welcome to the Saturday morning college football kickoff show, betting style, pub sports radio, Saturday, September 18th. With Cameron, Conor Mac, Big Ragoo, DJ Big Boss. We're all here. We're all in the house, and we're all ready for another Saturday. Hopefully a winning Saturday for all of us in the Saturday college football board. Let's get right to it. Huge card as always. We'll start at the top of the rotation as we always do. We go in time order and in rotation order. So we'll start with Michigan State and Miami. We've got the Hurricanes, 6.5-point home favorites, 57 the total in this one. Now, I've talked to a lot of people about this game because there's a lot of divergent opinions on it. There is the opinion that there's legitimate line value here with Miami. Off two very tough games against Alabama and App State to begin the year. There's some people saying that now I think there's a little bit of a discount on Miami because of that. That they lost to Alabama. They struggled against App State, barely won the game, failed to cover, that now there's value on them. And then there's the people that are kind of in the camp that I'm in this game that I'm not laying points with Miami until I see them cover a game. You're seeing defense not play as well as we thought. We're seeing even De'Ara King doesn't look fully right. The offensive line protection-wise hasn't been great. And when you look at this Miami team, Manny Diaz was supposed to solve all the issues with the defense, him calling the plays again. We just haven't really seen that out of Miami. And Michigan State, I guess we don't know yet just truly how better they are, how much better. I think they are better. A very impressive game against Northwestern, and then they pummeled an FCS team. But now this is going to be their toughest game yet. But I like what I see. They're running the football very well. They're playing solid defense. Peyton Thorne is proving that why you got the quarterback spot over Anthony Russo, the Temple transfer. He's played very well throwing the football. Mel Tucker finally got a full camp, spring and August, to get this team ready. And they look like a much better football team than they were last year. And Miami somehow, some way, if they're making mistakes left and right again, and life and death to win this game, it wouldn't shock me. Bottom line is, with a lot of these teams that are 0-2 against the spread going into this week, and there are a bunch of them, guys, they need to show it to me first before I'm ready to back them. So for me, it's only Michigan State in this game, 6.5 cents. I wish, it was still 7 and higher because it was earlier in the week. 6.5, don't like it as much, but I'm betting this even at the current number, Sparty or nothing. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm staying off this game. I just think it's one to watch. There's too many kind of question marks. You talked about it, Miami, in this one, kind of losing easily to Alabama and then scraping by App State. I thought Michigan State played well. We all talked about Northwestern's a little down. So how good is Michigan State? I think they're middle of the road. I didn't get it over 7, so I like Michigan State at that number. If it's under, I don't like it. I'm going to watch it. So it was a pass for me.
Yeah, I like that they're balanced. They're running for about 200 per game, receiving about 200. The balanced offense for Michigan State. Definitely like to see that. What do you think, Big Ragoo? Interesting game here.
Yeah, very interesting. And like you guys were saying about App State and Alabama, anybody coming out of an Alabama game is going to be licking their chops, or you're licking their wounds, should I say, coming out. And App State is a solid football team all around. So I don't discount that play by Miami on that. They got away with the win. This is a game that's really going to tell the tale going forward for this team, whether, like you said, whether you can start backing them or not. But I have an interesting look here. I think if you look at who Michigan State played, like Conor says, a down Northwestern team in Youngstown State early on, they have in the red zone, they're about like 75, 80% yielding points, and Miami's 100% yielding points in the red zone. So I think there's some value in the over here. My ratings come out with about a 64 point rating. I think we're like at 57. So I would lean towards the over in this spot.
All right, DJ, what do you like in this one?
Well, you know what? I spoke about Derek King and the Miami team a few weeks back. I'm not really impressed about Derek King. I mean, he can get loose. He's a playmaker. He can make some plays, but he's injury prone. Sometimes he doesn't make the best decisions. And this Michigan State team, they're trying to turn the bus around on this one. And, Michigan State's always kind of grounded in defense. So if I were to play this game, I'd be looking at the total and I'd be leaning on the underside. But it would be a pass for me overall, especially on the side, because like Ian said, Miami hasn't showed us enough to be like, bam, I'm gonna lay this or I'm gonna lay that. And same goes for Michigan State. Technically, we don't know if we really got like an under Michigan State year again coming, or maybe they get the totals up this year. But I mean, looking at the scores from the games that they played before, I say they gave up, 5 touchdowns over these last few games. So, in a big game like this, of course, the good coaches come in there and slow the thing down, give their team a chance to win. So I would expect Michigan to come and lock it up on defense and keep the total under.
All right, liking the under here. And I like what they can run it with Kenneth Walker. That guy's been a hell of a running back early in the year here for Michigan State. And certainly their passing game's better than I thought it would be. Peyton Thorne has shown a good ability. So we'll see if they can do it again here against Miami today. Northern Illinois, Michigan, next game. Michigan 27.5-point home favorites, 54.5 the total in this one. You can certainly see this as maybe a little bit of a dubious spot for the big home favorite here. Michigan coming off the big win against Washington last week in that Saturday night game. And look, I'm going to give Northern Illinois more credit than certainly I did going into the year, that they've obviously outperformed expectations, certainly exceeded my expectations coming into the year. The fact that they beat Georgia Tech, a huge upset in their first game. And then how about last week against Wyoming? 42-16, they were down in that game. It's like, geez, forget it. It's over. And then they end up coming all the way back. What happened to Wyoming's defense? They've looked a little shaky so far, but give Northern Illinois credit. Came back, but unfortunately, Wyoming got the game-winning touchdown drive and the 2-point conversion to win a wild one, 50-43 in that game last week. Crazy game. One of the craziest games of the week. You wouldn't think that would be Wyoming, Northern Illinois, but that's what it was last week between those two teams. But look, Northern Illinois exceeded my expectations. They could be 2-0 against the spread, depending on when you bet that game last week, Wyoming and Northern Illinois. So to me, when I look at this matchup here, Northern Illinois outperformed expectations. It's a little bit of a down spot. I lean to taking the points, but we just saw Michigan play a MAC team 2 weeks ago, a better MAC team in my mind, Western Michigan, and they steamrolled them. To me, I do worry about the matchup. I worry about that offense moving the ball against Michigan's defense. So lean dog, lean under, but I didn't get involved. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, real quick, shout out to the chat. Thanks for everyone being here. Hit the like button for us. And thanks, everyone, for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it from everybody. In this one, wow. I was thinking if I could get over 28.5, right around there, 28, I'd look Northern Illinois. I just don't know. Michigan's defense looks really good. Can they move the ball on Michigan here? I'm not so sure. So this one was a pass for me. I think Michigan wins this one, but I wouldn't feel great laying 4 touchdowns here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I think Northern Illinois played two pretty decent defensive teams on the other side. Maybe a little more class on the Michigan side of the ball with their defense, but I'm not going to discount either one of those games. Northern Illinois is not going to set the world on fire, and not crazy about the quarterback play there. But I never go to bed with Michigan laying any kind of double-digit numbers. Just over the years, I just don't trust Harbaugh. I don't trust Gaddis. So it's either take Northern Illinois plus the points or pass for me. But I don't have a play either way.
All right, DJ, anything here?
And this Michigan Wolverine train is slowly coming together, man. I wonder if I should have jumped on it early and rode it out. But going up against a MAC school like this, man, MAC schools can score. So putting 28 in front of it or 27.5, it's kind of risky because if you're going to take a side, you might want to put those points in your pocket because these MAC teams, they find a way to score somehow. So if you get 2 or 3 touchdowns out of this MAC team right here, then hey, Michigan may have a hard time covering on this one, but it's not a game I don't play. We getting too far down in the season right here to be laying 27 as well. So it's just one you might want to stay away from, but keep an eye on Michigan though. They might be a diamond in the rough this year.
Yeah, and I worry about Northern Illinois running. Lombardi was not good last week against Wyoming, throwing the football. Most of the offensive damage was on the ground.
He's never really good throwing it. Real quick. That guy's never good throwing it.
Points up, though.
They did running the football. I can't believe how well they ran the football against Wyoming. But Michigan's run defense might be another step up that maybe they're not ready to handle it. So we'll see how it goes here. All right, we move on to UConn and Army. Army 34.5-point home favorites, 47 the total. I'm going to be very brief here. You bet Army or you pass the game. That's where we're at with UConn. the coach has quit. I think the team has quit based on what we've seen the last few weeks. I don't think there's any real rah-rah incentive to, hey, we're going to keep playing this thing out hard and tough and effort every single week the rest of the year. Not what I've seen from UConn. How do you 49-0? That's your response with Lou Spanos taking over as the interim coach. 49-0 shutout by Purdue last week against this UConn team. Absolutely dreadful. So I don't have a lot of confidence in UConn doing much of anything here against Army. Certainly the concern, too, is they've been absolutely gashed run defense-wise. And, man, that is a problem against this triple option. So I think this is probably something like, 42-7, 45-7, something like that. I could definitely see that being the final score. I think UConn might even be in tough to put up points. Western Kentucky did, but you need to have a good pass game to take advantage of some of the – I told you, these service academies are not good secondaries. They're not good pass defensive teams. They can give up plays through the air. I don't know if UConn's that kind of team to exploit that. So this, to me, is either lay the points or pass. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it's lay it or pass. When there's bottom, 3-4 teams, you just got to lay it. And, I don't know if UConn can score. They've already not scored twice. I don't know if they do. Army's got a pretty good defense, and they'll just run it down their throat. Normally, you don't love laying it this many points with a service academy, but, it's lay it or pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, it's Army or pass. Like I said last week, Army, they run the ball like 90% of the time, 95. If they get off 3, 4, maybe even 5 is a big number for them to throw the ball, but usually 3 or 4 times a game they'll put the ball up. They're just going to ram the ball right down their throats all game and maybe look towards a team total Army, possibly, whatever that might be. I agree with you. I think they get close to the total, but they might not put it over. It'll be Army scoring all the points here. It'll be 7 touchdowns. If Army gets 7 touchdowns and the game goes over, obviously, that's a lot to ask.
And this could be a game that if you're going to go ahead and bet Army, take the first half, because this is a team that's going to be methodical, run the football, churn the clock late. If you need a late score to cover the 35 with 5 minutes to go, you may not get it from Army because they run so slow. It's basically a run exclusive offense, and you may not get the possessions and the number of plays needed to get that final touchdown. So you might be better off looking first half if you like Army. First half number is -21 right now. DJ, what do you think here? UConn Army.
Man, this is the day after Conor Mac's birthday, man. Do you want to be laying 30-something points with Army and even involved with this UConn game on a great day like this? I don't want no parts of it. Get that off my plate.
There you go. We move on to BC and Temple. We've got BC down to 14 after opening up 17-point road favorites here, 55.5 the total in this game. Just a terrible blow for the Boston College Eagles, losing Phil Jurkovec. The quarterback, out indefinitely now. Could actually miss the rest of the year because he underwent surgery on that hand that's injured. And now as a result, they have to turn to Dennis Grosel at the quarterback spot, who has been with this program now a long time. 5th-year senior, experienced in terms of being in the program, being in the offense. Hasn't played a whole lot. Was okay last week taking over, but now he's in the starting spot. Hopefully a week of practice helps him out here. This is just a game I'm staying clear of. I'm not ready to lay 2 with touchdowns on the road here with BC until I see what Grosel does, leading the team at the quarterback spot. Keep in mind, they've got a good run game. Zay Flowers is one of the better receivers in the ACC. He's got some weapons to work with here on this offense for Boston College. Temple, when you look at this team, it's still kind of a wait and see for me. We know what happened to them in their debut or in their season opener against Rutgers, and it was not pretty at all for this Temple Owls team. It's a team that I'm certainly not looking to back, even though they won it last week, 45-24 against Akron. Akron's in pretty rough shape themselves. I don't know if that's necessarily a buy sign yet for Temple, but I understand the trepidation of laying doubles with BC on the road, a team now that's breaking in a new quarterback here. Even though he's got experience, he still hasn't played a whole lot. So we'll see. I mean, Temple, and the thing about Temple Rutgers, too, is the score was a little misleading. A lot of turnovers for Temple led to a lot of those Rutgers points. So, I don't hate betting Temple, but I want to see more from them in terms of being competitive, and I want to see what Grosel does at quarterback. So I'm not involved in this one. Connor, any thoughts, BC Temple?
Yeah, I want to see more from Temple as well. And you talked about with Grosella quarterback. Boston College is the better team, I think, right now. But no way you're going to catch me laying 2 touchdowns with BC. This is Temple on the points or pass, and I just don't know if Temple can get it done. But I'd only be on the points here with Temple.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Okay, so Boston College played a high school team and a half a high school team so far this season.
Yes, they
now,
did.
Temple, maybe they could. I don't know, and then like you said with the Jurkovec getting hurt in that UMass game, Grosell did a pretty nice job filling in. But like you said, the jury's still going to be out there. Maybe we'll see what their defense, and Temple's not going to. I don't think Temple's got a whole lot going on either. So this is going to be like a tune-up game before they start getting into the, like DJ says, the meat and potatoes of the season. So I don't want to lay the 2 touchdowns in this spot either. But maybe look at a first half possibly for BC. I think their defense will step up today, because like I said, they had a couple practice games early on. So I think they'll have a more balanced attack too with this Grosell kid. I think they'll be able to put the ball down the field. That's what they were trying to get with Jurkovec, trying to get more of a balanced game, putting the ball downfield. They always have a good running game, good O-line, but I don't know, too many points here, I think. Maybe a first half look, if anything.
Yeah, and there's the question marks with who's going to start at quarterback for Temple. DeJuan Mathis, the Georgia transfer, started the first game against Rutgers, injured last week, didn't play, but Justin Lynch stepped in and played well. So there's a little controversy going on because Lynch really played well. Now, it was against Akron, but 2 passing touchdowns, 19 of 23, 245 through the air. He played really well. So tough decision here. If Mathis is healthy, we'll have to see where Temple turns to at quarterback. DJ, what do you think of this game?
I'm really not tapped in on neither one of these 2 teams right here at this point in the season. As the season go on, I'm pretty sure I'll pick up a little more reads on either one of these 2. So probably one that I want to sit back and do some homework to, if anything. But not a very tasteful game on this Saturday either. So I don't have a play on that one.
All right, we move on to the Battle of Virginia. This is an early game, too. Virginia Tech going to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. West Virginia, 1.5, 2-point home favorites, 49.5 the total in this one. Beware of this spot for Virginia Tech, and I'm still leery of them, to be honest with you, when you look at it. Before we continue, though, Jake Kaiser in the chat, thank you very much for the dono. And there it is, the dono train. Thank you, Jake. And $10. That's what it's got to be minimum now for the dono train for Thomas the Tank Engine to come out. So there you go. Thank you very much, Jake. We appreciate that. Hit the like button. 154 live viewers already, and we just started like 20 minutes ago. So we appreciate it. Getting back now to this game here, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's been damn impressive, especially on defense. Let's give Justin Fuente's team credit. They have been lights out defensively. They made Sam Howell a Heisman Trophy contender coming into the year look ordinary in the first game against North Kakalaki. They played very good defense last week against Middle Tennessee, who does have an experienced NC State transfer quarterback playing for them in Bailey Hockman, and I thought they played pretty well. Again, Virginia Tech's defense. And, man, does that ever concern me? Because the one thing about West Virginia, especially last year, that offense was sketchy with Jarrett Dagey. Can they move the football? That being said, the offense for Virginia Tech still not great. I've not been overly impressed with the passing of Burmeister. I know he can move around in the pocket, Braxton Burmeister, but on the road, he's sometimes a quarterback capable of making mistakes against good defenses, and I think West Virginia's got a good defense, and it's tough to win in Morgantown. This has been a team that's done their best work the last couple of years at home. West Virginia's been a very, very good home team so far under Neil Brown, the current head coach. It's one of those lines that, boy, hasn't Virginia Tech done enough in the first 2 games impressively to be favored? Yet they're not, and that's kind of a red flag to me. It kind of tells me look to West Virginia maybe here to get the victory at home. Certainly I lean under the total, too. This has the makings of a lower-scoring game. Defenses, I think, are the superior units on both of these teams, so I think it goes under the 50. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Not flush. That's funny. We'll see in the end. Giants might pull it out. Man, this one's a good game. I kind of really want to watch this one, like you talked about. West Virginia is so damn good in Morgantown. I mean, and I've been impressed with Virginia Tech that first game, but I'm not that high on North Carolina. I think these teams are right here. I think the spread's right, and I'd lean under. West Virginia was an under team at home, and we've seen even early Virginia Tech has played low scoring. That game was 17-10. I think it's a smash mouth football. It stays under the total. I think it's tight, and I have no read here. It's just one I want to watch.
Yeah, you could argue that West Virginia, they played Maryland, played an FCS team, and Virginia Tech's had to play North Carolina already, and at least a decent Middle Tennessee State team. But I'm telling you what, it's not easy to win there, and I don't like mediocre offenses, and Virginia Tech still has a mediocre offense in my mind, going on the road against a good defense. So that's why I'm leaning to the Mountaineers here. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I agree with you guys' look on the total side. West Virginia's struggling offensively a little bit. I do like the fact that Virginia Tech, even though we don't still give a little credence to North Carolina. They're just getting out of the gates a little slow. They got a lot of talent there still, but I just think I just like the fact that Virginia Tech kind of kept their focus after that big win going on the road at Middle Tennessee and did an impressive job there. But I think their offensive line is a little questionable, and I think West Virginia's got the better defense on that matchup there, and I think equally the same way on the other side. So I would definitely, I got 6 points worth of value on the under. So that's a pretty decent number. Anything over like a touchdown and then 10 points is an auto play for me. But this is a strong lean on the under for me.
All right, DJ, what do you like?
And real quick, for Boss, it's moved up that line. Just that you touched on the total. It actually, start open at 46.5 and's gone up. But I agree, it's an under for me.
Yeah, but I also know what that can be like. The obvious, this feels like an obvious under, and sometimes those end up being crazy games. I think back to Giants and Washington in the NFL the other night. Everybody thought low scoring, it was going to go under, and it ended up being a shootout when it was all said and done. DJ, what do you think?
Yeah, after that Washington game, it took me back to one of my old mottos, Big Ragoo. He heard me say it before. And sometimes when you got two teams that are built very similar, you get like the opposite reaction. So here you go, two teams with really good defense, and it just smells like an under automatic. But this is more like an interstate rival type thing. At this point in the season, we really could get anything. So the way to approach these games like this and these matchups for me this year is going to be contrarian. So if everything's saying go under, I'm going to go over, and I'll probably go with the dog in the matchup. But I would stay away from the side because the stadiums over there in Virginia is wild, and that could be enough to get you an edge to win the game. So I would love to just sit there, hold on to the over, and watch these two teams slug it out, and hope that they're so alike and built so similar that they just slip right past each other.
Hey, follow the money, the sharp money. That's what you got.
That's exactly. That doesn't always work, but hey, it's definitely you want to at least know where it's going. That's for sure when it comes to the sharp money. Coastal Carolina and Buffalo. We've got the Chanticleers now laying 2 touchdowns on the road, 58 the total. I actually bet early in the week Coastal in this game at -11. I mentioned that on Monday's show with Grant and Connor, the Hitting the Books show. I was on Coastal. We talked about that game. Look, I regret betting Buffalo last week because I said I bet this is a bet against team for me. They lost their head coach. They lost so many linemen in the trenches on both sides of the football, offense, defense. But I was just fixated on, you know what? Nebraska, even though I've got my issues with Buffalo, Nebraska's laying 14. I got to go against Nebraska, and Buffalo was no match for Nebraska. Couldn't stop Adrian Martinez. Couldn't get anything going on offense. And as I said on Monday, Kyle Van Treese, this quarterback for Buffalo, he hasn't progressed or gotten better one little bit in the passing game. He still can't throw the football consistently and accurately down the field. That's going to be an issue because, look, Buffalo's going to give up points to this Coastal offense. A balanced offense with McCall at quarterback, a great run game, great offensive-minded head coach and Jamie Chadwell. They're going to have issues stopping Coastal again here, just like they had issues with Nebraska last week. They're going to have to find a way to put up points through the air if they fall behind in this game, which I expect them to. And I don't think they can do that. I'm not a big fan of Van Treese throwing the football. It's like last year he had Patterson. He had a dominant O-line, a great ground game. And now all of a sudden he doesn't have that, and he's got to throw the ball more, and he can't do it. So for me, look, it's getting up there 14, but I don't want Buffalo here. Favorite or pass? Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it's got up. I mean, at 14, I definitely, even if it touches 14.5, I wouldn't take. I got like 12.5, 13. I love about every double-digit dog, and usually I do at home on this card, but this was one I didn't. I just think Coastal Carolina will be able to score on them. One thing is Coastal Carolina, I'm a little worried. I know Van Treese, they can't throw it early on, Buffalo, but their defense has been a little leaky. They gave up a few touchdowns to some shitty schools. We'll see here. But yeah, it's only Coastal for me, especially early. And this game could get over. Like I said, I think Coastal could probably score 42 here, 49, and I think Buffalo could score a couple junk touchdowns.
Chadwell criticized his defense against Kansas. He said because they gave up over 400 yards. That was a concern. And look, if not for turnovers and stopping Kansas in coastal territory on fourth down multiple times, it could have been a little bit different for them.
Yeah.
But he kind of got after their defense, which I like him doing that because you're right. Yeah, I think they need to improve a little bit based on what they did last week. And if they show it here, Buffalo's offense is very limited. And if they step it up defensively, as I think and hope they will, I think it'll be tough to find points for Buffalo here. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Hey, both of these teams played some pretty inferior competition. I'm not going to give Nebraska a whole lot of credit for, even though it's probably the toughest opponent out of the two that each team has faced. And like you said, the head coach being gone for Buffalo, their offensive line I still think is pretty decent overall, and I don't think they're going to open up a ton of offense. I think it's going to be more of a game manager type thing for the Buffalo squad. I think Grayson McCall is definitely, he can make some plays with his legs and get outside the pocket and put the ball downfield. But I like the over in this spot. I think both teams are going to score. I think probably Grayson McCall will probably double up on the points, but I don't know if they're 14 points better right here. But I do definitely like the over the 58 points.
All right, liking this game over the total. What do you think, DJ, with Coastal and Buffalo? He's muted.
I love Coastal last year, but this year I'm treading the waters a little lightly with Coastal. Even last year they had some close calls. They was lackadaisical at times. I'm not sure if, from what I've seen so far, I'm not sure if they completely matured from their old ways from last year. Even though they had a great season, it was some last minute nail biters and some luck was involved and a whole bunch of other stuff for them. So I wouldn't per se be willing to just jump on them on the side. I'm not really interested in the total too because we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of Buffalo as far as scoring, because Coastal can play a little bit of defense, and a lower school like them, they might come lay it on them defensively. So I'm gonna stay clear of this game, but I'm kind of waiting to see a spot to kind of fade Coastal, believe it or not. But this not the one right here.
Me too.
I wouldn't necessarily argue with that. I think Coastal, there's been enough warts in Coastal that some team is going to end up maybe exploiting it at some point. But at Buffalo, you're right. I just don't think they're that team today. And this is definitely going to be a game where if Coastal's life and death to win the game, or dare I say lose the game, then we got some real issues and worries. Then maybe you could really go full bore fading Coastal moving forward, because this really should be a game that they take care of business. Western Michigan and Pittsburgh. We've got Pitt 14.5-point home favorites, 58.5 the total in this game. Pitt, a huge win on the road against Tennessee last week. Pretty crazy game, back and forth it went. But Pitt ended up getting the victory and getting the win in that game against Tennessee, 41-34. I'll tell you what, this is the best I've ever seen Kenny Pickett play at quarterback for Pitt. As he should. I said this should be the year where he finally looks like not only a good quarterback, but maybe a great quarterback. And right now he looks like a great quarterback. He's having a great year. He's moving the ball well. He's throwing the ball deep a little bit, which has been good to see. I like this Pitt team a lot, and I've got them over their win total, 6.5, and they're off to a good start there. But one thing I know about Pat Narduzzi's Pitt teams, 1 week, a great game, and you could see them, maybe struggle a little bit here. The problem is Western Michigan, they played Michigan 2 weeks ago, and they weren't even competitive in that game. And I worry about that. Ellaby in this offense, can they move the ball on the road against a solid defense like Pitt? That's the question. But I know one thing. I like Pitt. I'm looking for spots to back them. This ain't the spot. Not as a double-digit favorite coming back home after a big win like they had against Tennessee. And keep in mind, they're 3-9 against the spread. Last 12 as a double-digit favorite. Pitt. That's not a good track record. So this is a pass for me on this game. Conor Mac, Western Michigan, Pitt.
Yeah, this is what I think. Just right when Pitt's good. This is a game that they'll, win by 10 or something. The one thing is, I'd only lay it, though, with Pittsburgh, but I'm staying way far away from this one. One thing we've seen early with Pittsburgh, both games have gone over. I know the total's high. We know Western Michigan gives up a ton of points, and they'd probably be able to score a few touchdowns. What was that, Michigan 47-14? I think it's a little tighter, but this game could get over the number even at 59 or 58.5.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh, by the way, has been playing a little quicker tempo. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they did that last week just because Tennessee's playing that way. They wanted to get ready for that game, and maybe they go back to slow it down, ball control, time of possession, run the football offense here. But Pitt definitely first couple of games played with some tempo, and it's just a question if they play that way again today, then clearly this is the way they're going to play the rest of the season on offense. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a game they probably want to slow the tempo down after that run-around match that they had with Tennessee. That was a fun game to watch if you guys didn't see it last week.
Yes.
It was a great game. But anyways, yeah, I agree with you. I think if anything, Pittsburgh, they would probably try to grind it down a little bit early to try to – I think we're always going to rely on Pickett. And like you said, Pickett's having his best year ever, and deservedly so. And I kind of like Narducci, but they do kind of like stumble off the block. They kind of lose focus. He loses focus in the not so big games, but it's a matter of keeping this team on track. But it's a big number here. You're talking better than 2 scores, and I don't want no part of that with Pittsburgh. And Western Michigan, I really don't know a lot about them. I know they can score, but there's a small sample size to see with that game with Michigan coming up against a red hot Pitt team right now. So I'm gonna sit back and look at this game here. No action.
Yeah, the Pitt defense holding teams to 3 yards per carry, 5 sacks in the first 2 games. So that's going to be the challenge for Western Michigan today, blocking that Pitt defensive front. DJ, what do you think?
This is a trappy spot right here. I mean, the line, the hook on the 14 is trappy. But if you really like Pittsburgh, and I like Pittsburgh last year, and this passing attack, they were putting it together back then, didn't kind of work out last year, but this year is looking like a well-oiled machine. And if you back in Pittsburgh, or you want a part of that, if you see the change, then you got to ride with Pittsburgh and lay the points today because, this could be a straight blowout, all the way across the board. Now, Western Michigan, they're going to come in, try to slow the game down, play some defense or whatever. But with the tempo that Pittsburgh is playing there right now, that's once Pittsburgh get them playing, they kind of ball is going to be, chased for the rest of the game. So if you're a fan of Pittsburgh, go ahead, continue to back them. Don't walk away from that. You'll probably make some money in the long run anyhow. So, everyone in this panel just kind of mentioned, we all kind of see a glimpse of that hurry up offense. We see a glimpse of that passing attack. So if everybody here agree that it's there, then hey, it's there. And if you're gonna lay it, that's why the number's up where it is. Could just be a blowout, 27-0 or something like that. So if you like Pitt, go ahead and lay it with Pitt.
All right, Nebraska and Oklahoma. This is the Fox Big Noon game coming up next hour. We've got Oklahoma 22.5, 23-point home favorites, 62.5. This is the Gus Johnson special, of course. He'll be doing this game. He does the Fox games early in the day. I'm only laying the points with Oklahoma here or nothing. And in fact, I did take them minus 22. Now I know the Tulane game was a little bit of a red flag. What happened there? They had a big lead. They kind of fell asleep, and Tulane offensively really made that game much more interesting. Coming off that poor game against Tulane, they came back and they absolutely crushed Western Carolina last week. Although you can't put too much stock into that. We'll have to see here. But look, I'm gonna have to see how they do against a ranked team. Nebraska under Scott Frost, 4-8 against the spread in 12 games against ranked opponents. So you talk about stepping up in class and not being able to. Nebraska's not been able to do that. And all I keep thinking of are these games against Ohio State and Wisconsin in the Big Ten the last few years, where all we've seen is Nebraska get drilled in these games. And I worry about that here. And if they fall behind big, are they going to have the offense to come back? They're kind of one-dimensional with Martinez. If he's got to throw the football, 20, 25 times in the second half because they're down by 17 or 24 points, that's not going to end well for Nebraska. He's not that kind of quarterback. He's not going to beat you solely in a one-dimensional passing game only offense. He needs the balance. They've got to keep the game close to make sure they can still run the football, and that's going to lead to Adrian Martinez being more effective as a passer. Now, they did play well offensively last week against Buffalo, but it's going to be a totally different environment here against and then Fordham, forget it. You can throw that out. Fordham's terrible. And then the game against Illinois, again, on the road. Remember, that was at home last week against Buffalo, but the other road game against a somewhat decent team was Illinois, and the offense was a mess. And Martinez was a mess. Another fumble in that game, too, for Martinez, which completely turned the game in the favor of Illinois as well. So I don't trust Nebraska in this environment against one of the true elites in the country. It's favored or pass. Oklahoma -23 for me. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, for the side, I don't really have anything. If I had a free play, I'd lay it with Oklahoma. But I think this total, I think it gets over. Like I've talked about, I've not been impressed with Oklahoma's defense. I think they'll give up a few scores in Nebraska. But if Illinois can hang 30 on Nebraska with a backup quarterback, I think Oklahoma could probably score 45, 50. So my play, I look to the over in this one. I think you can get up and over the total here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
That's a good segue for me, Connor, because I was thinking total, but not game total, team total, Oklahoma.
Team total?
Yeah, because I think they're rolling right now, and like Ian says, their road struggles that they've always had, and they haven't played there since like 2010. So it'll be an interesting matchup in that regard for that angle. But I think Oklahoma's got too much offense, and they're playing really well now. They're going to start humming here. So I'm betting over the 42 points team total Oklahoma. I'm going to the window with that.
Yeah, I think people already after that Tulane second half saying, because we all heard it, that Oklahoma, this could be the best defense they've had under Lincoln Riley. And everybody's jumping to the conclusion because they fell asleep in the second half against Tulane. Same old Oklahoma defense. Can't stop anybody. I don't know about that. If they struggle defensively today, then maybe I'll buy into that narrative a little bit more, in this game. But this is still on paper supposed to be one of the better defenses Oklahoma's had in years. And if it's supposed to be that way, they should have a better day today against this Nebraska team.
Maybe it takes more time too.
Yep.
Maybe it's going to get their fourth, fifth game till they all are healthy or get humming a little bit and playing better.
No, they've got a great team in terms of skill positions. I mean, Rattler, of course, at quarterback, Spencer Rattler, Gray and Brooks and Hall at running back, Marvin Mims, Mike Woods, Hasselwood, Mario Williams, great receiving core, Austin Stogner, capable tight end. Hell, they've got a great kicker, Gabe Burkich. That guy can nail field goals from 58 yards. I mean, he is one of the better kickers in college football as well. DJ, what do you think here, Nebraska, Oklahoma?
Well, after Big Ragoo mentioned the team total, I think he found a sweet spot with that one because, I mean, we let's not keep going back and forth about this Oklahoma defense. They keep saying the same thing year in, year out, that they're improving and this, that, and I don't see it on the field. To me, this group looks worse than about 2 or 3 years ago, to tell you the truth. So, but in a game like this, I mean, Scott Frost has just been terrible, man. This guy, I think he's just all hype because he hasn't been able to do much at all. This could be it's a class difference right here, and this could be a chance for Oklahoma to run it up. Oklahoma likes to run it up. That's what they do. So, but the defense is not there, so I wouldn't lay the points with them because you could get a backdoor cover, all kinds of stuff messing around with Oklahoma. So I like what Big Ragoo was saying. That's a big number on the team total, but these guys probably go at each other and rapidly and fast as well. But I'll just stay off of the game for the most part. But that's how I see it. If I was to jump in, though, I'd go for that sweet spot with Big Ragoo.
The team total, yes, definitely, which is 42 right now with Oklahoma. All right, next game on the slate. This is a good one. This might be the game I'm watching the most at noon Eastern. Cincinnati and Indiana. We've got Cincinnati, 3.5-point road favorites, 50 the total in this one. I don't want to disrespect Indiana because they're a home dog, and usually they're pretty tough in Bloomington. But this game means everything to Cincy because they don't get these chances often in non-conference play to show what they're all about truly, and this is going to be one of their biggest spotlight non-conference games to show that this team can be legitimate contenders in the playoff this year, just like they were last year. And unexpectedly, they got snubbed. What else is new? I'd expect Cincinnati to go balls out here. And this team, great on both sides of the ball. Desmond Ridder, throwing the football, outstanding. Running the football, he can do it with his legs as well. Great offensive line. The defense, outstanding, especially in the secondary. They've had back-to-back years where they have elite pass defenses, Cincinnati. And why is that significant? Because I worry about that for Indiana and for Michael Penix Jr. Remember the Iowa game a couple weeks ago? Picked off multiple times, pick sixes, not reading the coverage well, interceptions. If you're doing that with Iowa's defense, Cincinnati's secondary is more than capable to do the same. That is an elite secondary in college football that they have. And to me, it didn't look like Penix still feeling it completely coming out. Remember, the guy's coming off an ACL injury, and you'll worry if he's really all the way back just yet. Look, with all due respect to Tom Allen, he's done a great job already at Indiana. Last year was a phenomenal year for the program. But I didn't like the way they responded against Iowa. I don't love the fact that Penix is having trouble reading the defenses, throwing interceptions, and that's trouble against a ball hawking Cincinnati secondary, much like Iowa caused him problems in that regard. I think Cincinnati's capable of going into Indiana today, winning the game. So if I'm playing this one, I'm laying the 3.5 with the Bearcats. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I want to watch this one too. I won't have a bet on it. I just don't want to lay it with Cincinnati. I think they're the better team and can go in there and win. But Penix Jr. talked about it with that ACL injury. He is kind of sloppy, bad passes. Hopefully he gets healthy. But Indiana at home, should be a gritty game, and I'd only look under. Some guys in the chat are talking about. So in this one, I only play that under 50 here.
If they win this game, you guys, they have a bye next week, Cincinnati, and then they have that huge game against Notre Dame after their bye. Notre Dame's vulnerable right now. Like, that is a game they could absolutely win, the Bearcats. So keep that in mind. They could actually go 2-0 with this big 2-game non-conference slate, Indiana, Notre Dame, back-to-back with the bye week next week in between. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, that'll definitely put them on the national stage once that happens. If and when's big. But anyways, yeah, I would give both the quarterback ratings equal, but like Connor says, with that little Achilles problem for Penix, and it showed out. If you ask Penix to do too much, that's when he gets into trouble. And you got to give Cincinnati a nod on defense, even though Indiana is solid, and Champaign's a really tough place to play in all actuality. But I think there's a little more talent on the Cincinnati side, hence them being favored on the road. If this game was in Cincinnati, I would say, I'd definitely give Cincinnati a nod by 5 to 6 points. But playing at Champaign, I got to stay away. I just want to crack open a couple cold ones here and watch this one.
And it should be a good one. I lean under as well in this game. I mean, I think Indiana's defense is still pretty decent. Cincinnati's, we know, is good. And look, with Penix having those issues against Iowa's defense, that feels like it could be a lower scoring game here. DJ, what do you think with the Bearcats Hoosiers?
I mean, I like the underlook 100%, but it just looks a little too easy. But I think it's a steal of a price to jump on Cincinnati right here. You took the words right out of my mouth about the schedule thing right here. And so you got to understand that these guys got a shot at going undefeated this year. Like I totally agree that Notre Dame is going to be a big chance for them to get a W. And Indiana, they've been teeing up on this game. This is a part of last year's preparation for this year, looking at this game saying, hey, we go on these 2 road wins, we come back, we breeze on down, we got to play UCF. They'll probably be beat up by then, and a couple little other ones here and there. So they look like they can have a good undefeated season. I think they come out fired up for this game. And I say you take Cincinnati first half as value and full game as value. They could stump all over this team if they really wanted to. I mean, those guys play some really physical defense. They got some schemes over there on offense that's really, really working for them. So I'm high on Cincinnati this year. Their defensive team, you could always count on the under in those, but at the same time, there's just too much value in the low number to me. I think they get over. I think they beat them by 10.
All right, liking Cincinnati, not just to win, but by margin, says DJ Big Boss. All right, next up, we've got New Mexico, Texas A&M, Aggies, 30-point home favorites, up from 26 50 the total. Look, I know A&M has looked really rough to start the year. I get it. Kent State, they struggled. They labored in that game. Last week struggled just to win straight up against Colorado. But opening this game as low as they did was shocking to me. I mean, there's still a huge class difference between these two teams. I mean, New Mexico and A&M. And to be honest with you, I know Haynes King suffering the foot injury or the fractured ankle last week against Colorado. He really wasn't playing all that great, to be honest with you, at quarterback. So people just worried that, they're going to their backup quarterback. Zach Calzada cannot be much worse than Haynes King was. In fact, he might give them a little spark. And in fact, I thought he played well in the second half against Colorado. As that game progressed, he took over for King. I thought Zach Calzada played well at quarterback for A&M. Now he gets a week of practice, and I think he's going to have a much better ability to have success here in this game. You look at New Mexico. Who did they play in the first two games? New Mexico State, and they only won that game 34-25 last week. And then they beat Houston Baptist. And by the way, they didn't cover. They were 18.5-point favorites against New Mexico State, won by 9. 25.5-point favorites against Houston Baptist, won by 10. 0-2 against the spread against two very, very weak teams. Look, I know they've got Terry Wilson at quarterback, the Kentucky transfer, another guy who can run, but he can't throw worth a lick. Good luck against one of the better defenses in the country. I think this gets ugly. I think this is the A&M finally flexes their muscles, looks like A&M. I'm laying the points. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd lay it or pass. This seems like a 38-3 type game, something like that. A&M's got a really good defense. So, yeah, I'd lay it. Maybe or you could go first half with A&M, but it's all A&M or pass for me.
Yeah, I mean, one-dimensional offense mostly for New Mexico, very, very run-oriented, and those are the kind of offenses that I don't think work on the road against, a great SEC defense. And they still do have a great defense, A&M. Talk about the offense struggling. That defense has been really, really good so far for Jimbo Fisher. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
I'm waiting for Jimbo Fisher, my ex-buddy. I kick him in his ass. When are they going to crank the offense up? But even when he had Mon there, with the next up quarterback, we weren't losing. It wasn't that much of a drop off, but maybe with the backup here, I'm not going to say game manager type position, but I think New Mexico is kind of playing. They're playing not bad. I don't know if they're going to hang with this squad. I doubt it. I mean, I think it's the numbers indicative of that 30 points, and I think it's where it needs to be. So I have no interest in playing the game, but I really want to see what Texas A&M is going to do in this spot. Is try to get their offense together, and defensively they're going to swarm Wilson. There's no question about that. The best bet might be under team total of 10 for New Mexico in this game. If you really like A&M too, you could look in that direction. I don't think they crack double digits in this game. DJ, what do you think?
Mountain West, where I do it the best. This is a creepy New Mexico team right here. I mean, Danny over there, he's on the offense. You got Rocky Long on the defense. 30 points is a lot of points for an offense that was really underperforming. They got some questions at quarterback. And Jimbo Fisher, I think he left his playbook over there at Florida State because this offense that he's been running looks nothing like what he did over at Florida State. So he's kind of like he's more like a pro set now, and it's slow, it's lame. Not too much trickery. I mean, he got some good athletes out there, but I think he's kind of holding them back in that system. So this 3-3-5 that Rocky Long runs, it's one of the best 3-3-5s that's out there, and this guy can teach it to these guys pretty good. I'm gonna throw that New Mexico State game out the window. That's a rival game. Of course, man, those guys go in that. I don't care how they could be playing a high school team and they could be fired up to score a couple touchdowns. So that's kind of what they do. I should have been on that side last week because that's kind of what they do in that little rivalry right there. Like nobody really plays defense; they go back and forth. So I'm gonna throw that game out for New Mexico. I think this week they come to the table, way bigger opponent, got to prepare much different on the road. This is a chance for them to, shine if they could somehow come up with a victory. But I don't think they have enough offense to actually beat Texas A&M. But that 30 points, man, I think they could close that just in coaching, in defense. And I think they could probably slip up and get something on the board because the Texas A&M defense has got some holes in it as well, but they play pretty much locked down. The under seems like another really, really, really good play right here, but here you go. Defensive based teams, 2 of them, and you might get it over. So I'm gonna stay off. But if I would play it, I'd take New Mexico. Go ahead, Big Ragoo.
No, I was going to say 10 and 7 points against Kent State and Colorado, and then they won't play SEC games until next week, so there'll be 4 weeks into the season before they see a conference opponent. So maybe they're not showing all their weapons. Who the hell knows what's going on?
Yeah, that could be true. Is it not showing all? That's 2 sides of the fence. You're not showing all your weapons, or maybe your offense just sucks right now.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to go with the latter right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's a little bit of what is it to ask yourself with this A&M team. All right, we move to Minnesota, Colorado. Interesting non-conference game. Big 10 versus Big 12 here. Or Pac-12, I should say. I keep thinking Colorado, Big 12, Pac-12. Colorado, 2.5-point home favorites, 48.5 the total in this one. I got to give Carl Durrell credit. I mean, last year they surprised me with how well they played, and this year it's been a solid start for the Buffaloes. And look, they had JT Shrout get injured before the season started, so they've had to go to Brandon Lewis. Brendan Lewis is the quarterback here for Colorado. And he played pretty well last week against a very good defense, solid enough. He ran the football as well. So lots to like with Colorado. Tough place to win, too. The question is, they battled A&M right down to the wire. Do they have anything left in the tank to fire back strong here against Minnesota? When I look at these 2 teams, I keep thinking Minnesota's got a little bit better roster, but it's, to me, this is right where it should be. Near Pick'em. I think you can make a case for either side. Minnesota, Tanner Morgan, even without Ibrahim, the great running back. I still think it's an offense that's capable. What worries me is the way the defense played last week against Miami of O. That definitely does concern me a little bit here for Minnesota. So it's just, I think it's priced right. I don't have a real good feel for who's going to come out on top. Probably will be a close game, so I'm going to stay away from Minnie and Colorado. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this could be a toss-up. We talked about Minnesota laying that many points last week. That those kind of drive. Miami, Ohio scored 26. I think this should be a good one. I mean, initially I liked it earlier in the week, but it's gotten pounded now. Was the under. This thing's dropped like 4 points. So yeah, I have nothing here. I think the game's close. Colorado hasn't scored many points, so maybe they can against Minnesota's defense. We'll see today.
All right, Big Ragoo.
This is all about a steam play here with the under. And Colorado's underrated defense, like Ian says, tough place to play at home. And maybe, like Ian said, also some question marks on the Minnesota side with their defense. But I don't know. I think they step up here. I think Colorado probably sneaks away with the win at home. But either way, I see both teams scoring like into the low 20s, maybe in the teens on the Minnesota side if they don't get right with the running game. Abraham is a big loss, but Potts has stepped up, played pretty decent. But that Miami University game, we got to see how they handle going on the road. 2 games. They did good in the state of Ohio. Now they got to go and play Colorado, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm on the under on this game, even though it's some of the value is gone. I didn't get in at the right number, but I got a decent number, so I'm already at the window with the under here.
2 teams that prefer to run the football as well on offense, so that'll help you out if you like the under. DJ, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of a West Coast guy in this one, and Colorado's been playing good, man. They gave up 17 points total so far in the season, man. The defense, and they haven't played. I mean, Texas A&M ain't no chumps, and this game has a beautiful makeup for under. 2 run-based teams. Colorado with this lockdown defense should be a lot of time wasted off the clock, running the ball up and down the field for both teams. So it's got dead under written all over it. But I like, again, the value with the low number on Colorado. I think Colorado might be a sleeper. And also, I'm going to take these Pac-12 athletes over these Big Ten. Over these Big Ten guys from Minnesota. So, I'm going to go with these West Coast guys over here and think that they get past these guys at home. So I think there's a lot of value on the line right there, taking Colorado, and I love the under in this one as well.
All right, Colorado and the under. We move on now to Nevada and Kansas State. Nevada, road favorites in the Little Apple there, and the total 50.5 in this one. And I think they're deserving of being small favorites. I said this, we talked about this game on Monday's show, Connor and Grant and myself. I'm on Nevada here. I think they win. I believe in Nevada. I think they're one of the better teams in the Mountain West this year. Of course, DJ knows that conference. He'll speak to it in a minute. I think they've got the temperament. I think they've got the roster. I think they've got the offensive weapons at wide receiver, the quarterback, and Carson Strong to do damage. Kansas State's good in the trenches. They always have been. Under Bill Snyder, they were. And under Chris Kleiman, they've been pretty solid in the trenches. Their secondary and their pass defense has never been good. You know, they've been shredded through the air last year, 2 years ago. And this is going to be the best passing game they faced. Throw Stanford out the window. That was a bad quarterback that day, Jack West. This is going to be a real passing game that they're up against here today. And Nevada, these opportunities to win games on the road in a Power 5 school, there's a reason they're favored. And with no Skylar Thompson at quarterback for Kansas State, Will Howard's going to get the start. This guy's barely completing 50% passes last year. He couldn't throw the football very well, making bad decisions. The offense bogged down. I think Nevada's got the team to go in there and win. I like Nevada to get the victory. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Shout out to the chat, everybody in there. Hit the thumbs up when you can, either right now or when you get out of here later. We appreciate it. I'm with you. I like Nevada here. The problem is, just going to Manhattan's not easy place to play. It's better that Thompson's out. Obviously, Howard in. I'm not big on him either. Like you said, barely 50% passes. But in the trenches, they're still good. I think this could be a dogfight. And it's not like Nevada's catching three. You know, they're laying a few here. I think they win the game. I couldn't get to the window with Nevada, but that's where I'd be here.
Yeah, there are some people I've talked to that say, hey, if Nevada was catching points in this game, I'd be all over them. But road favorites, I don't know if I'm ready to bet them now at this number. And I get that, but I think they've got what it takes to go in there and win, because I think this is a really good team. Jay Norvell's done a great job here with the Wolfpack. Big Ragoo, what do you think of this one?
I think it's a little step up in class for Nevada to go in Manhattan, like Connor says. It is a tough place to play. I think Kleiman still has enough pieces on the defensive side to kind of equalize Carson Strong. So, and I think they'll scheme on the offense. So I'm on the dog here. I think I like the money line on Kansas State.
All right, liking Kansas State here. They do have a good defense. I still worry about the secondary, which is the strength of Nevada's offense, the passing attack. But we'll see how they fare here in this one. And by the way, Nevada beat Cal on the road their first game. Very impressive win. And that was a Cal team that I thought last week against TCU, even though they lost that game, they outplayed TCU for a large part of that game on the road. So that makes that win for Nevada against California a couple weeks ago, I think, even more impressive that they were able to win that game in Berkeley a couple weeks ago. DJ, what do you think here with Nevada K-State?
I don't really care for Jay Norvell and his coaching style. A lot of those players that he got, yeah, they do return. You know, they got a lot of what do I say? They got a lot of experience. That, you know, the good parts about Nevada are just a bunch of fluff. I don't feel like they really get it done on the field like that. I don't think Jay Norvell even manages the team well. I mean, they are winning some games. They predicted to finish high in the Mountain West, but I just don't believe it. You know, I don't know what it is about Jay Norvell, his coaching, and this team. They're not dominant. You know what I mean? They play well. I mean, they beat a Cal team that really struggles on offense and calls the quarterback garbage all the time. So, you know, I don't really
well
trust
last week against TCU. I thought it was defense that sucked actually.
Yeah, but I don't really trust Nevada right here. But it would be a big win for the organization right here. Like I agree with Big Ragoo that this is a step up in class for them to play K-State. So if they could get home with the victory in that one, they would look way more. They'll look way more. Better in the Mountain West overall. So I don't know. This one for me, I'm like Connor. I couldn't really get to the window with none of it, but it's one that I just have to watch. But I would fade Nevada on the road. That's not their game. K-State could come and put it to them.
All right, so leaning toward the home dog there. All right, Purdue and Notre Dame. We've got Notre Dame 7.5 point home favorites, 58 the total. Yeah, Purdue, Notre Dame. I've ended up going against them twice now with Toledo and Florida State. The first two games, life and death to win those games. 0-2 against the spread. There's just issues galore for Notre Dame right now. The offensive line's in shambles. They're giving up too many sacks. They're down to, I think, a second or third string left tackle now, and the original starting left tackle was a freshman, so they don't have a lot of depth there. The O-line is having its struggles. The defense is falling apart. I mean, they're giving up big plays on the ground, big plays through the air. They're not getting a pass rush. That's a problem right now. And one thing Purdue can do with Jack Plummer, the quarterback, and head coach Jeff Brom, they can bring an offense here to Notre Dame that's going to pose trouble for a struggling defense. He's a great road underdog, 19-4 against the spread as a road dog, Purdue. And most of that under Jeff Brom. Faded Notre Dame twice in a row, cashed. Fading them again here today, getting more than a touchdown. I'm on Purdue here. The Boilers, boiler up here. Purdue plus the points. I think this game could go over the total too as well. But I do worry about those Notre Dame offensive line. I did bet the over as well, but I like the side even more. I think there's a close game. Notre Dame life and death to win the first two games. I think they're life and death today as well. And Purdue, I think this is one of the better Purdue teams Brom's had the last couple of years. Certainly defensively, they're better than they've been in recent years. So I think Purdue very live here in this one. Conor Mac, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Purdue's live. Obviously, this could be another game. I think Notre Dame wins, but it'll be close. Like you talked about, they're just not that dominant at home. And, of course, they're always laying a number that's usually too big. We'll see with Plummer. I like him. I think they'll be able to score points. I lean towards the over. Obviously, it got there kind of that Toledo game, but I think they'll stay in this one. It's tight, maybe a field goal game. So I'd only take the 7.5 with Purdue.
Yeah, last week in the Toledo Notre Dame game, I liked Toledo plus the points, and I liked the over, but the over was my stronger bet. This week, I like them both, again, dog and over, but I think the dog is the stronger bet for me, Purdue, than the over today. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I'm on the same side with you guys as far as theory goes. I'm not getting to the window with the game, but it always seems like, Notre Dame's a very public team too. So when Notre Dame plays, this is when you really want to pay attention to the sharp money. I haven't looked at the bet percentages and the dollars on this one, but I got a feeling that the sharper money is going to be on Purdue in this game, but it's a pass for me.
Yeah, that's right. 60% of the tickets, Notre Dame, 73% of the money, Purdue. I mean, that's definitely tells you something right there. DJ, what do you think here? You're fighting Irish. They're fighting. They've won, but it hasn't been pretty.
Here we go again. Now, I know this what these people pay all this money to watch this show for is to hear my Notre Dame breakdown. And I mean, the offensive line, we didn't bring back very many in the first place. We got prestigious coaching at offensive line. They can make these players get out there and do what they do. The problem with the offensive line is they're not creating no space for the run. I mean, of course, they had a few sacks here and there, but we're not getting any run, nothing. At the beginning of the year, we were going to be based on this Williams guy in the backfield. All the 23 jerseys went out and everything, and we haven't been able to gain nothing on the ground, but we've been able to throw the ball in the air and score some points. Just like I said, Tommy Reeves, offensive coordinator, kind of changed up how we do some things. So I like all those perspectives right there about Notre Dame. And I wouldn't say that the defense is bad. They're getting left on the field too long. The offense is not moving the ball enough to keep the defense off of the field, and they got to come in there and late in the game, stuff blow wide open. I mean, you give these college big major salary coaches time to break you down, and they're going to break you down in the long run. So I think that's why the back door keeps getting left open with Notre Dame. We got a lot to defend the house. Like, we got to defend the house. We got a nice winning streak at the house. So we got to defend the house. We're not going into this game against Purdue overlooking them at all. We're going into this one like this is one of the teams that could really beat us. But the problem with Notre Dame, and the reason I would take Purdue on the money line is because we're a ticking time bomb. Like, the quarterback is not solid. That's been our Achilles heel for the last 10 years. And here we go again. He's shifting one in, one out. You see Kelly arguing with him. It's just too much mind manipulation with those young quarterbacks. It's already chaos and confusion on that side of the ball. So I don't think that we lose. I don't think we really should lose, but I think we're in trouble right here. And I was going in early in the season. I told everybody the overs with Notre Dame was where it was going to be because of Tommy Reeves and the offense. And guess what? The market, they caught me, man. We almost pushing a 60 in this one. Now, that's one thing that I don't really do is take Notre Dame over pushing 60. So I think the sweet spot today is the under in the Notre Dame game, although I've been preaching the over. So I think that this thing probably goes under. Kelly gonna have to come and maintain the game again, like run it slow, play good defense, and all those things to give us the opportunities to win. So I go under in Notre Dame, but my Purdue plus the points, half on the money line, it's already in as well.
All right, there you see. He's an unbiased Notre Dame supporter, DJ. That's what we love. It's telling it like it is. And like it is Notre Dame's got issues right now. Hard-pressed to win games at all at the moment, let alone by more. By the way, that Toledo kid's got to learn. Even though it was good for the over for me last week, you got to stay in bounds and not score that touchdown. If you stay in bounds, you're going to be able to kick the field goal. And with about 10 or 20 seconds left and give Notre Dame barely any time to put that drive together to win the game, which Jack Cohn was able to do. So that's what you get with the college kids sometimes. Just forget time, score, situation of the game. And it probably should have stayed in bounds rather than score that touchdown. All right, let's move to the next batch of games. Eastern Michigan, UMass. Eastern Michigan, 21.5-point road favorites, 56 the total. Now, Eastern Michigan's usually good on the road ATS, but normally that's in a dog roll. Are we ready to lay more than 3 touchdowns with Eastern Michigan? I know UMass is just dreadful. I'm not even going to try to make a case for them. But again, we're talking about laying 3 touchdowns on the road, more than that now with a team that we're just not accustomed to laying these kind of prices with in Eastern Michigan. We'll see how they fare here. Remember, they're down to their Frosh quarterback, Brady Olson, as well at quarterback after Tyler Lytle got injured. Eastern Michigan, 34-7 loss at Wisconsin last week. We'll have to see how they fare here. UMass still question marks with Olson, how they're going to look, in my opinion, going into this game. I just don't trust UMass enough. I think it's probably going to be close to the number, but not a game I'm going to end up being involved in. I think below 21, I'm interested in Eastern Michigan. Now that it's 21.5, not so much. Conor Mac, what do you think?
I'll be quick. Pass. Next game. We got to hurry it up anyways. This game. No.
Pass. DJ.
Same thing for me, man. Pass on that one. I'm not coerced with none of that, so I had to pass on that one.
All right, how about this next one? Big one in the ACC, Georgia Tech and Clemson. Clemson 27.5-point home favorites, 52.5 the total in this game. Now, certainly we know from a Clemson standpoint, it's been a slightly underwhelming start to the year for them. Of course, the Georgia loss to begin the year was disappointing. 0-2 against the spread for Clemson coming into this game. How about that? So definitely something you want to keep in mind. Georgia Tech with that shocking loss to Northern Illinois, but they did win and cover against Kennesaw State last week. Jordan Yates has taken over at quarterback from Jeff Sims, and which is shocking that Sims has just gotten to the point where he's so bad that as a senior, he can't even start anymore. But Jordan Yates took over and played well. So apparently Jeff Collins has a little bit more faith and confidence right now in Yates at quarterback as opposed to Jeff Sims. So that's nice that you got confidence in him, but now you got to go on the road, face still one of the best defenses in the country. And say what you will about how Clemson's offense and DJ Uiagalelei struggled against Georgia, but that defense was still very good in that game and one of the premier defenses in college football. It's probably going to be tough for Georgia Tech to move the football. Now that this number, like it was 30, it's down to 27.5 now in this game. I lean Tigers. They do have some injuries, though. Cluster injuries, both sides of the ball, offensive line, a couple in the linebacking core. Keep your eye on this. So they are a little bit injured right now, Clemson. But now I think that's been reflective in why the money's come in on Georgia Tech. Below 28 now, I lean a little bit to Clemson. Won't be betting the game, but I lean Clemson now that it's below 4 touchdowns. Conor Mac, and lean under as well. Conor Mac, what do you think? Georgia Tech, Clemson.
Yeah, this is a pass for me. I don't know what to make of Georgia Tech. I don't think they're very good. Obviously, last year with Lawrence, the last few years, Clemson first half, kind of like we do with Bama, was pretty automatic for me. I'd look that way. So, yeah, Clemson here, first half, full game, or just pass this one.
All right, Big Ragoo, GT Clemson.
Yeah, we're not talking Northern Illinois, Kennesaw State here, but too many question marks for GT this is probably a get right spot. And don't forget, last year that had a big blowout in this game, like 73-6 or 73-7, some ridiculous number like that.
Yep.
So revenge is not even going to come into play here because I think they're probably, if not equal, a little bit less than the Georgia Tech team that was last year going forward. But I think it's either Clemson first half or pass for me in this game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be trouble here for Georgia. I would only back the favorite. Favorite's the only way I would bet this game. There's no question about that. And by the way, 8-17 against the spread for Jeff Collins here at Georgia Tech. And they've been catching big numbers, so they've had a tough time covering numbers. DJ, what do you think here?
Hey, guess what the good coaches do? They adjust. In Clemson, they might not have been on the greatest road on offense, but here is the time. It's for them to adjust and get the wheels on the field and get this train going. So they're getting ready to go in much more conference play and all that. It's time to bring out the steamroller. So I think Clemson, Dabo, he be in his feelings. So he from the way their offense been playing, he got to show the nation some things. So I love it. Big Ragoo got it before I could get to it, and that's the first half. Yeah. Clemson, I like that spot right there. Like they're gonna get out there and get at those guys.
All right, we go to the next game here. USC, Washington State. The post-Clay Helton era begins with the Trojans. Dante Williams taking over the interim head coach. USC, 7.5-point road favorites, 62 the total. Obviously, that was a horrible game for USC against Stanford, and it finally was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, and led to the dismissal of Clay Helton. It was a long time coming, but they started the year, but I don't think they expected a debacle like that. I would expect USC to really play good today. First game, they're talking the talk about we're disappointed we couldn't win enough for Helton. We want to really show that we're better than this and have a strong finish to the year. And I don't know if I've seen enough out of Washington State in terms of them impressing me to trust them here, especially their defense. I think Keaton Slovis has kind of had an underwhelming start to the year. He played okay against San Jose State. Struggled a little bit against Stanford. I think he'll play a lot better. I still don't buy that Washington State defense. Washington State, by the way, wants to play much faster. They did last week tempo-wise against Portland State, and they really got Jaden DeLora and their offense going in that game. Man, I really, really like the over in this game, 62, because my numbers had it high 60s with this total. I thought it should have been much higher, but the one concern, heavy rain potentially in the forecast. That's the only thing that I worry about a little bit here with this. But to me, 62 is very short with this total. Graham Harrell, air raid offense for USC. They play up tempo. Now that Washington State really, really increased their pace and tempo last week, I think you're going to see a lot of possessions, a lot of plays, a lot of chance for offense. I do worry about the rain, but at least it's not going to be windy. And I always say wind impacts scoring more than rain. So I still like the over. I just think this should have been high 60s. I know someone, Kenny White, he has this total in the 70s. And he obviously respect him. He's been around the block, Vegas odds maker forever. So there's value in this game over the total. I like it. And if I'm betting aside, I'm only laying the points with USC. I mean, I don't trust Washington State yet, and I think USC comes out with a strong game today, first game post-coaching change. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
This is a spot play for me all the way. I love this scenario, like you said. I don't love when a coach gets fired, but I just love when there's a lot of talent on the team and they're underperforming and you get a new coach in that first game out of the locker room. I mean, this is all about the team coming together and proving that, hey, we're still a team. We're going to get the job done. We got a ton of talent, and this is that spot here. So it's definitely a play on USC on the road. Even though if it was at home, it'd probably be, bigger. It'd probably be double digits, maybe 10, 12 points. But in this spot, going on the road, laying the 8.5, 9, whatever it is, I still think they get double digits. And I do love the over, too. I think it's way undervalued on the over. We'll just see how the weather plays out. So this could be a double-up spot, over and USC.
Yeah, in the past, I've stayed off totals and overs because of rain, and the game still ends up like 34-31, and I'm like kicking myself. As long as it's not like a freaking deluge or the tropical storm. I mean, rain is not as detrimental to scoring as wind. Wind is the greater concern. DJ, what do you think here?
Man, you guys never stop surprising me, man. I can't believe that you guys want to get involved with all this drama. I don't want to have nothing to do with that SC drama. Like, that's not a spot I want to be. Now, I would agree if SC was at home, first one out the locker room, new coach or whatever, the whole drama situation works great at home, but having to pick up your bags and go on the road, too much chaos, man. I don't want them to be involved with all that chaos because I'm gonna feel some kind of way if I lose that one. Because I'm gonna say, man, why did I even get involved? It's like continue to date an ugly chick. But I'm just gonna leave that one right there, man. I'm gonna leave that right there.
All right, so pass. That's a clear pass for DJ Big Boss right there. Alabama, Florida. We've got Alabama 14.5-point road favorite, 60.5 the total in this game. Silly of us to think Alabama wouldn't be capable of just looking great once again, even with a completely revamped offense, new starting quarterback, Bryce Young, a lot of skill position, new running backs, receivers. They lost so much of their skill position talent, and now you're seeing already what the likes of Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith are doing in the NFL last week. They both scored touchdowns in their very first NFL game last week. But they just reload. The offense has been fine, and the defense is one of the absolute best in the country. There's no question about that. This Alabama team is going to be outstanding defensively. They throttled Miami 44-13 2 weeks ago. Florida, they're having quarterback concerns in that Emory Jones, they really thought highly of him, and he's kind of struggled. And instead, Anthony Richardson's the guy that's been getting a lot more snaps at the quarterback spot, and Dan Mullen plans on playing both of them today in this game against Alabama. I don't know if that matters. Look, you haven't been getting rich betting against Alabama. We've said that time and time again. You know what I'm looking at. First half full game split with Alabama. It's the only way I would go. I know they're on the road. They can handle it. And with Florida, a little uncertain at the quarterback spot, and still that defense, I got to see it. I know I'm hearing that the defense is a lot better for Florida. I didn't like how they played against South Florida last week. Florida's defense. That's a really bad South Florida team. And South Florida's moving the ball up and down the field against them, especially in the second half. No, there's no way I trust Florida here to hang tough for 4 quarters. Bama or pass? Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yep, I'll be quick. Bama, first half, roll tide.
There you go. I mean, you've been betting it for a year plus, and why stop? Big Ragoo, what do you think?
The old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon today, only because they're playing in the swamp, and they've been waiting for this game for a while. Yes, there's questions at the quarterback position. They do have some injuries on defense that they're nicked up a little bit. We know how deep Bama is on both sides, and this kid Young is having a pretty good season so far. He's been almost perfect throwing the football, but I don't know, just that swamp environment's different. If you've never been there, it's hard to explain, even though I'm sporting this FSU gear. The Gators, they do play good at home, and they're going to be ready to play football. I'm going to stay off of probably the first half number, but I think they got a better chance covering the second half than they do the first half, the full game.
Florida's running the ball extremely well, and they're going to have to because they're just not dynamic enough throwing the football. There's not a Kyle Trask. Yeah, there's not a Kyle Trask capable throwing quarterback on this team this year. So they got to run it successfully to have a chance. And unfortunately, Alabama's given up 68 yards per game on the ground, which is not good. By the way, Alabama laying 3 touchdowns or less the last 5 years, 19 and 12 against the spread. So they've actually still been a profitable team, laying these kind of numbers. DJ, what do you think?
Hey, I'm saying, here's my credit card, bartender. Keep them coming. Alabama first half.
All right, Alabama first half. Do have some injuries on defense. 7.5
is the number, right? That's a short number.
7.5, yeah, short number.
No doubt. That's probably why the total's gone up a bit because of some of those injuries, 57 to 60, 60.5. But still, no, I mean, Alabama's just one of those teams. I'm not going against them. Until I got a damn good reason to do so. Florida State, Wake Forest. Wake Forest, 6.5-point home favorites at the opener, and now they're down to 4.5. I'm even seeing 3.5 showing up, 62 the total. This is just one of those things that if Florida State's worth their salt, worth anything, worth a damn, they show up and they play. They go all out and play well today, because after last week, brutal loss. I mean, I'm shocked. Big Ragoo is not ashamed to hold with that Seminoles hat after what we saw last week. Jacksonville State, 4 touchdown favorites, lose outright. Final play, just a hideous loss. This is supposed to be a spot though that kind of loss snaps everybody's to attention, and they go all out. I like that they named Mackenzie Milton the starting quarterback. At least make it his start here. Put it on him, in terms of make him the starter. And now you got a full week with him getting ready. I think they play well, and I'm not ready to trust Wake laying points. Wake is still one of those teams that, I know defensively they should be better. They have looked a little bit better defensively, but Milton always scares me going against him, especially as an underdog. Look, Florida State, if they look bad again today and lose this game and maybe get blown out against Wake, then we've got to start sounding the alarm bells that maybe this team's just going to go in the tank just like they did last year. But I'm willing to give them one more chance. Biggie, give me one more chance. That's what he said. I'm going to give them one more chance here. I took the 6 with Florida State early in the week. 4.5, I still recommend that side. Maybe I'm a sucker for just liking the game of Mackenzie Milton so much, but I think they show up big time today. And if they don't, then that's an indictment on Mike Norvell. And we got to start getting worried about, where this program's going under him. This is a statement type of game. Where are you at, Florida State? Conor Mac, what do you think? Florida State, Wake Forest.
Shout out. Thanks, Blez. Appreciate it. Man, I don't want anything here. I mean, shout out to Ragoo, still rocking the Florida State gear.
There ain't no bandwagon jumping off the bandwagon.
I know, man. Hey, that's why I love you. You got to stick with
loyal.
The team.
You want the loyal fans, yes.
I just can't lay points, here with Wake, and it's not enough for Florida State. If I had to, I'd take Florida State in a free bet. This was a quick pass for me.
Hey, I've been rocking Florida State gear forever, since like the 80s. My gambling money's been there. My kids' college tuition money's been there. So I'm all about Florida State. And I'm not going to be a homer as far as I've bet against them many a time too. But you know what? I'm with Ian on this one. It's 100% play on FSU. We're talking about 2 plays, mainly, difference between 2-0 and 0-2. And the coaching, they should have a couple of foot stuck right up their ass last week on that defensive, scheme that they pulled. That was horrific. But that's last week. This week, I think we're in a pretty decent spot overall. We're going to come out. We're going to be gamers. We're not laying down. I think Wake. I used to bet Wake a lot, and I haven't bet them. I haven't got on their money train this year, but normally I'm on Wake with the hurry up offense. But I think this is a good matchup for FSU. I'm a little worried about the defense. I would lean maybe towards the over, but definitely going to be on FSU on the side here. I think they should be. I got them as a 2-point favorite. So I'm getting to the window.
You take a money line
and a sprinkle. Yeah. I'm
So,
definitely taking the points. I get the 4.5 looks really good, and I'm going to sprinkle some on the money line.
All right, liking the money line, a little sprinkle as well. So Wake Forest looks really good so far. Sam Hartman, quarterback, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, throwing the ball well. Defense looks improved, but let's pump the brakes. Old Dominion, Norfolk State, the first 2 games. Let's calm down a bit. And Old Dominion's one of the worst teams in the FBS this year. So this is a step up for Wake. I don't care that Florida State lost to Jacksonville State as 4 touchdown favorites. This is still a step up in competition, in my opinion, for Wake Forest. DJ, what do you think?
Hey, I love y'all breakdown on that one, but we only mentioned once the loss to Jacksonville State. I mean, a loss to Jacksonville State.
Wait a minute now. Jacksonville State's a good team.
Hey, in this one right here, Florida State should have been way better than them last week. We can't look past that and go into this one with high hopes. I don't want no more smoke with this Florida State team. They got a lot to prove on the field. This matchup right here, they're gonna be testing them. So I mean, in all respect to Florida State, this is an opponent that's gonna come in there to try to beat them, while they down. So if they can fight out of this, then they may be a light at the end of the tunnel. But if they can't jump on Wake Forest and play like champions, then it's just all downhill for Florida State. And I'm sorry, Big Ragoo, but I'm not gonna play it. It's probably be the best thing. I mean, what you gonna be eating when you're watching that game there, Big Ragoo? Because I know you're gonna. That's gonna be the good one for the day, huh?
What am I gonna be eating? What time's that game go? 3 o'clock.
3:30, yeah.
3:30.
3:30, yep.
I'll probably make a little bowl of pasta, a little side dish of a chicken parm or something like that. Who knows?
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Comfort food.
That's it.
Comfort food in case there's more disappointment. Something to comfort Big Ragoo. That's right. We'll see. We got Kent State, Iowa. Iowa 22.5-point home favorites, 55 the total. I'm not involved in this game. I mean, I don't trust Kent State's offense to work against a really good Iowa's defense has been ridiculous so far. I mean, shut down Indiana, shut down Iowa State in back-to-back games. I like Kent State, but I like them when they get into MAC play. I don't like them on the road against this Iowa defense. But Iowa in this price range, I don't love laying this many with Iowa. So it's an easy pass. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I like the under here. I don't know how much Kent State can score in this one. And yeah, Iowa, I don't love them as a big team laying points like this, even though I think they cover in this game. But yeah, lean Iowa. I think they cover, and I like the under here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't have a play in this game, but it's either Iowa or pass. I just think it's too many points for me to get to the window with Iowa, but I would lean Iowa, but I pass on the game.
DJ.
Yeah, I would pass on it too, but man, Iowa's look really impressive, man. But not gonna lay none of them points and be involved with that game. Like I told you, best time to take Iowa is when they're a dog, and they showed you last week what they could do as a dog.
All right, we got SMU, Louisiana Tech. Mustangs, 11-point road favorites, 66 total. SMU struggled to put away North Texas last week, but I really do like their offense. Tanner Mordecai is going to be a really good quarterback for SMU. This looks like it's going to be a very good offense that they've got there. They put up big points the first two games. North Tech, like I said, they struggled to put away North Texas, but they did eventually get the win and cover as 22-point favorites. I think this is a competitive game, though. Louisiana Tech, I know they struggled with Southeast Louisiana last week, barely won, but remember, they had the game against Mississippi State before that. Huge underdogs. They nearly won the game outright. They probably should have won that game against Mississippi State. This is Skip Holtz's point spread role. When he's a dog, he's been outstanding catching points. The money's come in on La Tech. They've got a good enough offense. I think they've got a lot of weapons, Louisiana Tech. I think they could trade points. I don't like their defense, but Austin Kendall, the Oklahoma, West Virginia transfer, he's played well. They can run the football. They've got receivers. They can score points. Their defense is not good, Louisiana Tech. So I think SMU will score a bunch too, but I think they've got enough offensive firepower to trade scores with SMU. I like the dog, and I certainly like the over, 65. I think we're going to see a shootout here. Conor Mac, what do you think?
You said everything I was about to say there with Holtz as a dog and everything there. Yeah, La Tech. SMU pulled away there, but it was 21-12 in the fourth. And they finally got a few stops, but they gave up 337 to North Texas. La Tech scores here. I think they trade points. Give me the dog at home here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
This has the same scenario that FSU had early on. They played a tough game with Notre Dame, or Mississippi State, 1-point game there. Then they lost. They didn't blow the game, but they had the win over Southeast Louisiana. Tough game there too. And this is the game where they're gonna probably come out at that game there with the Southeast Louisiana game and just kind of, play up in this game. So it seems like they're playing up or down wherever they need to play. So I think they play up here against SMU. Too many points. Take the dog plus.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm also as well, and I like La Tech too. I'm on La Tech, and I like the over as well. And the reason I like the over too is the one thing I'm worried about with La Tech is that secondary. It's been shredded in the first two games, and that's the strength of SMU. That passing attack, Sonny Dykes, that quarterback Mordecai can sling it. DJ, what do you think? SMU, La Tech.
Hey, I got my radar on SMU turning things around a little bit this year. Despite the competition, they did walk away with some W's, so they come in here with the W. I really like SMU in this one. Of course, I'm a Skip Holtz fan, but in this one, I'm with you on the over 100%. I capped this one down to the over.
All right, like in the over, we go to Tulsa and Ohio State. Ohio State looking to bounce back after a stunning home loss to Oregon last week as 2 touchdown favorites. Ohio State 25.5 point home favorites, 60.5 the total in this game. This defense sucks. That's what I figured out about Ohio State in the first 2 weeks. They couldn't get a stop against Oregon. They struggled against Minnesota, and if Ibrahim doesn't get injured in that game, they might have lost, and they might have still kept giving up points to Minnesota in that first game. Ryan Day's team has serious deficiencies right now on the defensive side of the football. Now, the question is, can they clean it up here? Coming off a loss. Ohio State historically has been very good off a loss, the few losses they've had over the years. The offense has still been capable. Tulsa, the one thing that concerns me is you would think they could move the ball because Ohio State's defense just isn't very good, but they've also struggled on offense, Tulsa. Davis Brin, who was good in a spot, coming in off the bench for last year for Tulsa, played well. He hasn't played well exactly in a starter's role for Tulsa this year, so I do worry about that a bit. It's a tough game. because I'm certainly not in a rush to lay these points with Ohio State with what I've seen. But is Tulsa going to be able to take advantage of these Ohio State defensive issues? Davis Brin and that Tulsa offense just hasn't been clicking yet. I worry about that. So tough game, lean dog, but just a light lean to Tulsa. Conor Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, this was a pass for me. Ohio State could cover this, but when your defense that bad, I'm not going to lay 25 with you right now. You know, they're ways away from me wanting to lay 25, and they could cover, but I'd only be on Tulsa on the points, but I didn't love it, so it was a pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, there's question marks on both teams here. Like Connor says, and you said with the defensive issues they have, I mean, they've given up like the most points they've given up like the last few games coming out of the gate. I mean, we're normally used to seeing Ohio State with like Clemson and Bama like numbers on the defensive side. So they've definitely got some issues to clean up there. And this might be the game that they have the breakout game for them. So I'm gonna have to wait and see with Ohio State. No way I get to the window with 25, and I don't trust Tulsa enough. Too many question marks on both sides.
Yeah, they have a good running back tandem in Shamari Brooks, Deneric Prince, Tulsa. And look, they haven't been able to stop the run, Ohio State. So maybe they can run it. If they can, they could probably sneak inside the number. The other thing I can't get out of my mind, guys, is Ohio State played Tulsa like 5 years ago, and it was 48-3 for Ohio State. So that's another thing that's just keeping me off taking the points here. DJ, what do you think about this one?
I don't know. Ryan Day could be driving this Ohio State team into a gray area. I see that they undersized. For some reason, they don't got that big, beefy defensive line that's really getting after people. So I don't know if they're on a true decline right here. You know, when you start talking about undersized players and stuff like that, now you talk about bad recruiting, and bad recruiting just gets worse as it goes on. So this could be a spot to try to change the narrative right here, you know, for them to try to put their foot in the sand and move on from, you know, their losses and stuff. So I don't know, but I'm off Ohio State, man. I don't know. Ryan Day, and it happens a lot in college football. Like a man picks up a team from another coach, and they're able to work with them for a little while. But as they start acclimating their opinion and their side of things change. And I think we might be seeing that with Ryan Day.
All right, we got Baylor and Kansas, Big 12 matchup. Baylor 17.5, 18-point road favorites in Lawrence, Kansas, 49 the total. For the first time in got to be 3-4 years, I'm actually betting the Kansas Jayhawks. Yeah, I'm on Kansas. I'm seeing a little light at the end of this very dark tunnel for this program. With the effort against Coastal last week, dare I say it, I was impressed. They move the football at times. Jason Bean, the transfer quarterback from North Texas, dual threat, made plays running the ball. They're not taking penalties. They're not turning the ball over. It's clean football, disciplined football under Lance Leipold. Look, this guy can flat out coach. Did a great job at Buffalo, FCS Whitewater, Wisconsin Whitewater before that. This guy's a good coach, and it's just a question of how long is it going to take to see Kansas start to play a little bit better, start to cover some numbers. I'm not ready to trust Baylor and their shoddy quarterback situation and their offense fully, which struggled a little bit against Texas State and didn't cover as double-digit road favorites in that game at Texas State and won by 9. I think Kansas could be a sneaky little moneymaker, especially catching all these points if they show the kind of improvement week to week they did in that game against Coastal. I thought that was an admirable effort for the Jayhawks in that game. I'm on Kansas for the first time in it feels like eons for me. What do you think, Conor Mac, Baylor, Kansas?
Yeah, this is more. I just don't trust Baylor laying all these points on the road because I don't think they're very good, and they barely beat Texas State, didn't cover. And I don't love Kansas. I think they're not very good, but I lean Kansas and the points here, especially with 17 in the hook. So I lean Kansas.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Aranda, second year with Baylor, struggling offensively. Kansas got rid of the gambler like our buddy used to love, Les Miles, right? He used to love to get to the window with him. I think you're right, Ian. I think Baylor's going to be up against it early on, and they'll probably figure things out possibly late. But early on, I think I look to Kansas to kind of keep it a little closer in the first half, if anything. So if I have a play, it'd be leaning Kansas first half.
These are the kind of situations I like. Teams been shit for years. They've been a dreadful team straight up and against the spread. But just when you start to see little teeny signs of improvement, that's the time you can step in and maybe try to take inflated points. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm seeing progress. You could say baby steps. Yeah, it probably is baby steps. They're not fully back yet. But, that was a good Coastal team, and they put up a solid fight, in that game for 4 quarters. So, yeah, light at the end of the tunnel, at least for Kansas. What do you think, DJ?
I don't think. I like it, but is it worth taking that chance with Kansas? What's the longevity? Like, do you really see a bright side for Kansas further down? Are we going to be doing this, taking Kansas for the rest of the year? I don't think so. So I don't know. It sounds like a sweet spot more because we don't know what we're getting out of Baylor. You know what I mean? So we have no idea what's going to come. Baylor's been, since they lost their coaching staff, they've been kind of busted to me. I don't really trust them at all. So I wouldn't say I don't trust them as much as to take Kansas, though, unless I really felt Kansas was a team that I was going to bet on for the rest of the season. But I don't know if we got a slick spot here today or what. These books get paid to set these lines, and they probably right.
They want to bait you in, so take the dog every now and then.
Yep.
The dog's got the sun's got to shine on the dog's ass, like you say.
Absolutely. But with Kansas, I don't know.
Baylor's defense gave up 20.
A dog of all dogs.
Yeah, to Texas State. And that's why I think Kansas can get – if Kansas gets to 2024, which I think they could here, I think they got a great chance to cover because I'm not sold on Baylor getting 40 necessarily.
So do you think Kansas can win the game outright?
No, I don't know about win the game outright, but I'm saying we got 17 and a half to work with here. I'm saying they lose by 10 or 14. I think that's probably what the margin's going to be. Just like Baylor, Texas
10 points in the first half if you like them.
Yeah.
So that might be a look.
Kansas first half plus 10. Yes, that's definitely an option you can consider.
That's a lot of value in that, just considering that the coaches can come lay out a game plan to keep it tight in the first half.
It's just I believe in the coach too. Lance Leipold did a good job at Buffalo and did a good job before that. So we'll see if he can have his team have a good, clean football game again here today against Baylor. Colorado State, Toledo. We've got Toledo 14.5, 15-point home favorites in the Glass Bowl. The total 58 here in this one. Yeah, I laid it with Toledo. I got 13.5 early this week. I still like it. Even now, it's across the key number of 14, a small worry. But Colorado State is a shit show. They suck. They're not good. They weren't good last year. Adazio is flipping out to the media. He's apparently saying, talking about his job security. Are you on the hot seat? Is like, I'm not thinking about that. He's just really at a tirade after the loss to Vanderbilt last week. Like it's eating at him that this program's just not progressing. Centeo, the quarterback's no good. The defense can't get stops against a mediocre Vanderbilt offense last week as they lose outright. I said you can't lay points with Colorado State against anybody of a touchdown, and Vanderbilt proved me right last week. Toledo, look, the one concern is that was a really gut-wrenching loss to Notre Dame. They had the lead. Notre Dame came down the field, got the game-winning touchdown drive. Are they kind of hung over after a tough loss to Notre Dame? If they're not, they absolutely should steamroll and put the boots to this Colorado State outfit. I still think they get it done. I'll lay the points. Conor Mac, what do you like?
Yeah, I lean laying the points with Toledo. But you talked about it. This could kind of just go through the motions, get a win. But I think this is over. I think Toledo scores a ton. I think Colorado State's defense is not very good. So I lean over here, 58.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Hey, Connor, what do you think about a team total on Toledo?
Yeah, I'd go that instead of taking them minus 14.
Colorado State's a bad football team. We know that.
Yes, they're a bad football team.
They're really, really bad. But, we're talking Toledo, Toledo, they can get up point in bunches when they play, inferior opponents. They play Norfolk and Notre Dame, tough ass there. So this is a good spot here. They're at home. Colorado State going on the road. So I would say definitely lean Toledo. Or no, there's no way I could put my money on Colorado State in this spot. So
yeah, no way.
It would be Toledo either team total or lay the points.
All right, DJ, what do you think? Colorado State, Toledo. You're muted.
I'm just as down on Colorado State as you guys are, man. I don't think I bet Colorado State versus UConn, but in this game right here, it's people that play. I was talking to somebody earlier in the week, and the whole hangover factor. I don't see that. It's too early in the season for the hangover factor. When people, the game after, I always watch the game after when team play Notre Dame. Sometimes it is exhausting and they can't show up, but that usually happens further down the season. But it only happens two ways: either they're exhausted and they play, flat, or they're excited and they play much better. And I think that's what we're going to get out of Toledo. The experience of going to South Bend, playing football in the South Bend, the fact that they were in that game with a chance to beat Notre Dame, man, they're going home to play this weak Colorado State. Like the vibes are high. The vibes are high for Toledo. So I say first half Toledo is where it's at.
First half Toledo. All right, we move to the next game here. Northwestern and Duke. Northwestern 2.5-point road favorites, 49.5 the total. Northwestern definitely not the team they were last year, but I think they can go into Duke and win. I don't like much of anything I've seen out of Duke. Remember, a bad game against Charlotte in their very first game of the year. Let's not forget that. They didn't play well in that one against Charlotte. 31-28 final score in that one. Of course, last week they have a FCS opponent, played better, but that's not saying much. I think Northwestern will bounce back here, play better. I know they lost to Michigan State. I still like what they've got. Defense, I think they can hang in there against Holmberg and the Duke offense, which I still have question marks about. And Hunter Johnson, look, he's a guy that played it, was recruited by Auburn. We're going to see if he can improve here. But I think, after facing Michigan State, facing this Duke defense, which is still not very good, I think Northwestern can get the win. I wouldn't want to lay more than 3, but you only have to lay 2.5. So I think Northwestern goes in there and wins that game. Conor Mac, Northwestern Duke.
Yeah, this game is just ugly. This was a pass for me. But if I had a free bet, it's under 3. I'd take Northwestern. No way. Even Duke catching a couple of points, I can't take them here. I just don't trust Northwestern.
And no doubt with all the returning production lost, though, with a coach like Pat Fitzgerald, even with all the missing personnel from last year, they will get better as the season progresses, no doubt. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely a coach-up spot for Northwestern, but 2.5 at home, that's usually an auto play, but that just goes to show you where they're at as a program at this point in time. So I would say Northwestern a pass, but it's a no play for me.
DJ.
This is a pass for me as well. I don't see much in this game right here. Duke comes out and sometimes they show you this defense that plays really good in the secondary, and then sometimes they just get ran all over. So I can't catch a vibe on Duke to know where to place my bets. So I'm a pass.
All right, Georgia Southern, Arkansas. Arkansas 23-point home favorites, 53 the total in this one. I love this Arkansas team a lot. I was disappointed I didn't bet more on them last week against Texas. But, boy, that was impressive, man. A great win for them against Texas. They beat Rice in their first game. But now, is this the right spot? Is this the right number to be taking Arkansas? I'm not so sure about that. I'm not going against Arkansas. They are a one-way team for me. I'm betting on them or I'm passing. And in this spot, coming off the huge win against Texas, I'm passing. But that defense looks legit. They shut down completely the Longhorns in that game. And that could be trouble for Georgia Southern. I still lean Arkansas, but not the right spot, not the right price to take them after that big win last week. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, huge win by Arkansas. These points have gone up. One thing, what about Georgia Southern? This team's kind of hit the shits after last year. They beat Gardner-Webb by 5, and then they get shellacked by Florida Atlantic, a team they beat just in December. I'm down on Georgia Southern. I know they're catching a lot of points here. It's just a game I got to pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, it's Arkansas a pass, but I say it's a perfect letdown spot for Arkansas. Getting ready.
Yeah.
You're gonna have 4 games at home as a third game, and then they got SEC next week. But Georgia Southern, man, like you said, what happened there? Gardner-Webb and Florida Atlantic, 2 really bad games. Just not a good look for Georgia Southern right here. And I don't want to lay the 23 with Arkansas. Arkansas in the dog roll and, coming in, getting up for the big games. But it's too much of a letdown spot, but there's no talent to go on the other side of the ball to let them down. So they probably just coast through this game. I think it's a game that they just kind of take it easy, get ready for the big game next week. And then you probably won't see their best effort, but you'll see a good effort.
Yeah, Georgia Southern, just terrible. I mean, I cannot back them. But when you look at Arkansas, what do they have after this game? Yeah, A&M, the gauntlet, A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn. Next 4 games after this. So that's why I worry about this situation a bit for Arkansas.
doubt.
DJ, what do you think?
This might be the best spot on the card today to go ahead and lay the wood with Arkansas. I mean, if you look at the X's and O's, they're outclassed, especially up front. The defensive front for Arkansas is huge. The linebackers go with that. A good defense can shut an option attack down easy if everybody just stick to their assignments. So I don't think they're going to pose any threats to Arkansas's defense. These guys are going to get in there and rough those guys up. Maybe would probably lean to the under because I don't see how Georgia Southern is really going to score. But definitely a spot where you want to lay the wood with Arkansas.
All right, Mississippi State, Memphis. We've got the Bulldogs, Mike Leach's squad, 3.5-point road favorite, 64 the total. Man, that Mississippi State defense last week, what a performance against what we thought was a very good NC State team. A great win for the Bulldogs, 24-10 against NC State in that game. They got a pass rush. They stopped the run. Will Rogers, the quarterback, was very good and effective throwing the ball, and we'll see if they can keep it up. Memphis definitely, like always, they've got a good offense, and even the new quarterback for them, Seth Hennigan, the freshman's played well for Memphis. So it's going to be a good challenge here. But I saw enough from Mississippi State last week to impress me that if I'm betting this game, I'm looking at Mississippi State. It is one of those weird, again, non-conference games before SEC play. I do worry about that. But I know they've got big SEC games on deck, but I like what I saw from their defense last week, and that was a good team they beat. So, and some part of me still thinks Memphis is a bit down as well. Not like it was in the Mike Norvell days. Ryan Silverfield, decent young coach, but I don't think Memphis is quite where they were 2 years ago under Norvell. So if I'm betting this game, I'm looking at Mississippi State. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, Mississippi State looked good last week. Man, and then Memphis had that big lead and let Arkansas State come back 55-50, ton of points. Mississippi State should be able to score. I didn't want to play this one. I lean Mississippi State. I don't love the 3 in the hook. I want to see them go there, win, cover, and I like it, but it was a pass for me. Just lean Mississippi State.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Somebody's got to break the squad up here. I'm going to take the home team in this spot.
All right.
I think
well, I ain't taking either.
This is the letdown spot. Not so much because you got the home team. Memphis is playing at home. It's not like Arkansas playing home. They're going on the road. They're going to be looking towards that big game next week. Mississippi State is. So I'm catching the home team in points here, and I got a team that can score and against a team that, could also put points up. I would lean over, too, because the over looks pretty good here, too. But I definitely like the home team getting the 3.5.
Yeah, lean over as well. DJ, anything here?
I guess the over does correlate with taking Memphis, but I'm gonna rely on the defense with Mississippi State, and I kind of like the under in this one. I think it's just a little too high. Like they're gonna score, but they might not make it over that 64.
All right, we've got Arkansas State and Washington. Washington 17-point home favorites, 58.5 the total. I'm not laying 17 with Washington. Not after what I've seen from their offense in the first 2 weeks. Wide receiver injuries, O-line problems, Dylan Morris not playing well at quarterback. However, they're facing a defense that just gave up 680 yards of offense to Memphis last week. And if Washington's offense can't do anything here at home against the Arkansas State Red Wolves defense, you might as well shut their season down and say, you know what, stop playing, guys. It's not going to happen at all for this offense or for you guys. So that's my issue. I lean dog, but man, that was a sieve defense I saw at Arkansas State last week. But there's no way I'll lay 17 with Washington, given what I've seen from them so far. Look, Jimmy Lake has got issues. His program doesn't look like it's as good under his watch after Chris Peterson stepped down. They've got problems. I still like their defense, but and look, James Blackman, who Big Ragoo certainly knows him well, Florida State transfer, played well. Has played well actually for Arkansas State for Butch Jones, the new head coach. So Lane Hatcher and him were splitting reps, but it was Blackman that really got the offense going against Memphis last week in that near comeback. So I think you'll see Blackman get the start here. It's dog or pass. Don't love it, but I'm certainly not interested in Washington laying 17. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, me either. Man, yeah, Washington should be able to score on Arkansas State. If they don't, they got real problems. They can't lay it with Washington here. It'd be the dog, but Arkansas State's defense is just a sieve. But, with Washington game, I want to take the under here, but just a team that bad in Arkansas State, I can't trust it. So it was a pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
It's a matter of trust. You know that Billy Joel song, Matter of Trust? Yep. I don't trust either one of these teams. I had my money on Washington last week, and they fucking stunk it up so bad. I was throwing up at halftime. But anyways, in Arkansas State, they'll score some points. Even though Washington's defense is pretty good, I think Arkansas State will score a few points. But, man, I can't trust the Arkansas State defense. I can't trust Washington's offense. So I can't make heads or tails of this game one way or the other. So good luck if you play it.
All right, DJ Big Boss, what do you think?
I'm going to just say that I'm telling Noli with the under on this one. If you watched the show on Jimmy yesterday, he gave a really good breakdown on that game that made a whole lot of sense when you're looking at the secondary of Washington and Arkansas State not being able to run as swift as they want. They won't be able to put the ball in the air like that against this Washington team. It makes a lot of sense with a struggling offense that the total stays way below what the number is. So go check that out. I'm telling Noli with the under on that one.
All right, liking the under. We go to the next game here. Middle Tennessee State, UTSA. We've got the Texas San Antonio 11-point home favorites, 59.5 the total in this one. I like the over a little bit in this game, 59.5. Bailey Hockman's experienced quarterback for Middle Tennessee, comes from NC State. I think they'll be able to score a little bit of points. UTSA's defense did struggle against Illinois. They are good, though, overall, but I still think Middle Tennessee can score. UTSA's offense, on the flip side, they look terrific. Frank Harris, dual threat quarterback. Sincere McCormick, outstanding running back. Good receivers, good offensive line, all starters back. I think they move the ball. I'm not going against UTSA. Am I rushing to lay 11? I'd prefer the favorite as opposed to Middle Tennessee, but I think the number's fair. I do think we'll get over 59.5, though. Favorite and over would be the ways I would go. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the road runners, but I can't lay 11.5. But yeah, I think that total gets over. I think they score a bunch, and I think Middle Tennessee gets some points as well. I think it gets over that 59.5.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I agree with Connor. I think we're going to see points on both squads. They both had some pretty light opponents early on, and Middle Tennessee come off of that game against Virginia Tech, toughen them up a little bit here. But I think both teams. UTSA's got some players now. They do have some defense. But I do think Middle Tennessee is going to be able to put up points on that squad. I think both squads score often. So I would lean over in this spot.
Yeah, remember, UTSA gave up 30 to Illinois with Sitkowski, by the way, at quarterback in that game. And Middle Tennessee got shut down last week, but a really good Virginia Tech defense. So I think that's why you'll see the offenses do a little bit better here. DJ, what do you think?
It's a total pass for me, man. I haven't been tapped into those two teams. So I have no play on that.
All right, Old Dominion and Liberty. 27-point home favorites here, 52.5 the total in this game. This is Liberty or nothing for me. I cashed with Liberty against Troy. I couldn't believe all the money Troy took in that game. Do you realize Liberty's one of the best group of 5 teams going this year? And Liberty got the win, got the cover. Malik Willis, outstanding quarterback for Liberty. I mean, they should romp Old Dominion. Old Dominion's kind of starting from scratch, first year head coach as well. They've lost 13 straight games, Old Dominion, against FBS foes. That's not good. I think definitely Liberty can win this game by a margin. As long as it stays below 28, I lean that way. I'll probably have a small bet on Liberty, but I definitely don't want no part of Old Dominion. That is a rebuilding program right now. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yep, it's just lay it or pass here. Lay it with Liberty. Old Dominion's, right around down there, the bottom 10 teams, I'd say, 5 or 10. And it is 27.5 a lot, but I think Liberty covers here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Liberty might push the game over themselves because Hugh Freeze is going to light up Old Dominion's defense on fire. So Freeze is going to burn them up.
All right, so maybe look over the total. DJ.
Hey, Liberty or pass. Teams like Liberty and these kind of spots, they got to light up the storyboard. They got to show people they for real. So if you want to lay that much, go ahead, lay it with Liberty.
All right, we've got East Carolina, Marshall, a nice little conference. Actually, it's AAC, I should say, East Carolina versus Marshall in this Conference USA. So it is non-conference. Marshall 10-point favorites, 58.5 the total. A lot of people I've spoken to this week love Marshall laying the points, not buying East Carolina. They lost to App State, didn't cover. They lose a tough one against South Carolina last week. That it's a bit of a hangover spot for them. I'm not rushing to lay 10 with Marshall personally. I still think East Carolina's a team that could improve as the season goes on. It's more than anything just a game I'm going to stay off it. Grant Wells, the quarterback, does look to be playing a little bit better so far this year for Marshall, which is good to see. They put 49 up against Navy, 44 against NC Central. But you talk about battle-tested. Marshall's played nobody. Bad Navy team, NC Central. At least East Carolina's played App State and South Carolina, two tougher teams. So strength of schedule, East Carolina. But every time I take East Carolina, it doesn't end well. So that's why I'm passing. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, Marshall played, Navy and North Carolina Central. Wells does look better, but those were cupcake games. East Carolina, I think, is in this one. I wouldn't lay it with Marshall. I think take the points with the dog here at pass.
Big Ragoo.
The only trouble with East Carolina is they're like almost towards the bottom in both categories, offensively, defensively.
Yep.
And still question marks. Huff stepped into a good situation. You had Doc Holliday stepping out. So I think this is a steam play too. I lean very hard on Marshall. East Carolina's gonna have to show me something. And even though they played a little softer schedule early, which most teams are this time of the year, so I think Marshall's got more things going than East Carolina does. And double digits to get to the cover, that might be a tough look there, but it's either Marshall or pass.
Well, there definitely seems to be a defensive class difference. Marshall's defense was good last year. It's been good so far this year, and we still think East Carolina defensively a little bit leaky. They definitely were against App State that first game. DJ, what do you think?
I think these two teams match up well. Very similar pass attacks. Like you said, it's a little lopsided on defense. So I think the scoreboard's definitely going to get hit today, and I lean over in that one. But I'm going to take the points and take ECU. I like what they do passing the ball. I think they get on the scoreboard, may have a chance to win the game. So I love to take a nice dog when I think there's a possibility that they can run away with it outright. And I think, they match up well. ECU has a big chance of winning this game outright. You're going to give me 10 points. Give them here. I'll take them.
All right, Troy and Southern Miss. We've got Troy 11-point road favorites, 49.5 the total. Boy, I thought Southern Miss maybe a little breath of fresh air, new life this year for that team. And that first game against South Alabama, they got wiped out 31-7. Obviously, they beat Grambling, but that's not saying much last week. Still going to be a wait-and-see approach. I like Will Hall, the head coach, but look, it might take more time than I thought because I took Southern Miss against South Alabama, and they weren't even competitive in that game. Troy, on the other hand, tough loss against Liberty, 21-13. Taylor Powell, I like the Missouri transfer at quarterback. It's probably a game that they come back and they beat Southern Miss. The question is, do you want to lay 11? I'm not, but Troy's taken the money so far. I'm not involved in it. Conor Mac, what do you think? Troy, Southern Miss.
Yeah, me either. I think it's a little too high. I think Troy's the better team here, but laying double digits on the road, it was a pass for me. And Troy last year, I was talking about, scored a lot of points. This year, I think it's just the game. Nothing on the total. I don't know if it's going to be low scoring or they get back to kind of scoring more points in this one. All
right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, here we go again. Both teams played inferior opponents. Troy maybe is getting a little overvalued in a spot. I'm gonna try to pick this game up sober because I want to see Frank Gore Jr. run the ball because I hear he's a ball of fire like his old man, and he scored a couple touchdowns early on. They get 243 yards, and he's got 2 touchdowns and 6 yards per carry. So that's one to watch coming forward. But it's a pass for me. I'm trying to check in and see Frank Gore Jr. score a touchdown.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I lean on Southern Miss. I think Troy picks it up more in conference play. They're not really built to play outside the conference this year. So I think they get tatted up a little bit, and then they lick their wounds and learn a little bit during the conference and have a few upsets.
All right, Florida International and Texas Tech. We've got the Red Raiders, 20-point home favorites, 54 the total in this one. I'm not involved in this game personally. When you look at Florida International, Losing in overtime to Texas State. That's not, and Long Island's a terrible FCS team, so they've done nothing to impress me so far. Florida International, and I honestly think Butch Davis is on his way out if this year ends bad because it started off poorly at Florida International. I lean to the favorite. I'm not rushing to lay 20.5 with Texas Tech. They're a little erratic, a little spotty. Tyler Shuck, has been a little bit inconsistent, erratic for Texas Tech at quarterback, but I prefer the favorite. I don't want the dog. Conor Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, I don't want anything here. I just have Texas Tech's win total over. I think they get the win. They probably cover, but it's a pass for me.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech wins by 4 touchdowns in this spot. And like you said, Butch Davis is long overdue his tenure at FIU. I think this is his last year. He'll be gone.
Yeah,
just
definitely
collecting a paycheck there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I would lean favorite here. DJ, what do you think?
I always lean over with Texas Tech. Somehow the games just get out of hand for them. So I would go lean over on that one.
Charlotte, Georgia State. We've got the Georgia State Panthers here laying a decent number, I guess you could say, in this one. Currently 5.5, 4.5, 5, 63 the total here in this game. It'll be interesting to see how Charlotte fares here in this matchup. It's usually a team I like quite a bit, but Charlotte coming in off 38-10, 31-28 against Duke in the first game. Georgia State obviously struggling against Army, and then against North Carolina, they get wiped out 59-17. Chris Reynolds, we'll see how he fares. I like the quarterback. I think he's solid. The offensive line solid. Georgia State, I'm a little surprised that they've taken this much money. I know Charlotte's got a little suspect run defense at times. That's usually a good thing for Georgia State in this matchup, but I'm not interested in laying 5 now with Georgia State. I'd lean actually a little to Charlotte. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a pass for me. There's no way right now I'd lay 5 points with Georgia State. I'm not rushing with Charlotte, but that'd be the only side here. Maybe even take a money line.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm off of this game totally.
DJ.
Yeah, I see the best value is taking Charlotte money line as well.
All right, Utah, San Diego State. Utah, 8-point road favorites, 43 the total. I should be wanting to back Utah here after the tough loss to BYU, but it was shocking to see how BYU controlled that game in the trenches because that's where Utah was supposed to be very strong coming into this year, and BYU got the better of them in the trenches a little bit. So it's at the point now where that gave me enough pause to not want to lay more than a touchdown. Do I want San Diego State? No, absolutely not. I don't want this Aztecs team. Their offense is not great. Their quarterback play is spotty. Brady Hoke, I can't say he's doing a great job here with this Aztecs team. It's Utah or pass, but I think I'm more likely to pass here. Conor Mac, your thoughts here, Utah, San Diego State.
Yeah, on the other side, we'll see with Utah if they can get better. I haven't been too impressed with them. Obviously, they're going to be pissed, but it'd be San Diego State or pass for me here. All
right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, this is a pass for me. I'm going to listen to my man DJ's breakdown on this one for sure on San Diego State. I think Utah, that was a little bit of a letdown, no doubt, with the BYU situation. They're not a bad football team. They'll get back on track. It's just how they're going to stack up in this spot here. I don't know if they're 2 scores better than San Diego State. I'm going to listen to DJ on this.
Yeah, it was a struggle for Charlie Brewer last week against that BYU defense. He's got to play better for Utah. I think he will, but maybe it's just going to take him more time to adjust to this new team, new surroundings than I thought. DJ, what do you think?
I'm going to say I see most value in the under in this play right here. Both teams can play a little bit of defense. We don't know what we're going to get on offense from San Diego State. I couldn't back them on the side at all. So I would play the total, and I would go with the under on this one. I think San Diego State might be another one of those teams that probably pick up the pace a little in conference play. They have their quarterback issues and offense issues, and I don't think it's going to work out for them against Utah like that.
All right,
real quick, I think at the total, if you like the total under, which is only at 43, I wouldn't lay it. I'd only be on the dog there. I think you see a close game then. You see 2016 or something like that if you think the under hits. So I'd be on San Diego State, home dog.
All right, we've got South Carolina, Georgia now. Georgia, 30.5-point home favorites, 47 the total. This is interesting because JT Daniels has had the oblique injury and Stetson Bennett. splitting reps in practice, with Daniels. So, and they're both banged up too, Bennett and Daniels. So I think one of the two is going to start in this game. That's not the question. I think the question is, because I think whoever starts is capable. I thought Bennett was good. Bennett was not good last year when he started. That's why Daniels took over, but he was good when he came in last year. What can South Carolina's offense do against this Georgia defense? Because if they can't do anything, they're still probably going to be in trouble to cover this number, South Carolina. Can they score and move the ball? That's the question. I'm not involved in the game, just too many question marks. And again, we don't know exactly if it's going to be Bennett or Daniels for Georgia. Connor at quarterback. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Georgia looked, really good last week. I'm not involved at all, but I'd only be on Georgia. I mean, just there's no way I could take South Carolina right now.
Nobody's been better in 2 games defensively in college football than Georgia.
So.
Clemson game, the UAB game. UAB is not chopped liver. That's a solid team. And they just said, psh, psh, get out of here. You're not doing anything offensively.
Beat the street.
Big Ragoo, what do you think?
This is almost like a semi-rival game. Anytime these teams used to play, I always look at South Carolina for the upset-minded Gamecocks. Different ball team now, different era, the whole nine. But Beamer ball too, maybe. Who knows what happens down the road? But I was looking at a hard way to bet this game. I did a lot of study on this game, and we know Georgia's, defense is friggin' insane, and the question marks on the offense. So that tells me, maybe a no cover, but I was looking at a way to bet this game South Carolina way, and you know what? I thought I found a little value here. South Carolina, the team total is 7.5 points, -110, and that's just a gut. It's just a gut play for me on this one, and that's what I'm getting to the window with. I'm going to take team total South Carolina over 7.5 points, -110.
All right, very interesting. Interesting. That's a good creative way to look at it for sure. Auburn, Penn State. Penn State 5-point home favorites, 52 the total. I don't trust Bo Nix on the road. He's thrown as many interceptions as touchdowns on the road in his career. Auburn, the first big test of the year for them. I'm sorry, but I know people were impressed with Auburn in their first game, but you're playing Akron. That's not enough to impress at home. Now you got to go on the road, face Penn State. God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but usually James Franklin, a big game, especially laying points. I don't want to back him, but Penn State's been impressive. They drilled Ball State. They beat Wisconsin on the road.
Yeah.
Sean Clifford's playing better, and I don't trust Bo Nix to make good decisions with the football on the road, hostile environment, whiteout in Happy Valley tonight against a good defense. So if I'm playing this one, I'm actually laying the points with Penn State or nothing. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, can James Franklin, though, win 2 big games in 3 weeks? We'll see. I don't want to bet this one. I think Auburn, an SEC team, can go in there and play well and hang in there. But Bo Nix, you talked about it. There's nightmares of him, turnovers, especially on the road. I'd look to the under if I were to bet this game. I'm not on the side. I think it's just a dogfight. I don't know if it's 16-10 like Wisconsin, but I'd be under here.
All right, Big Ragoo, Auburn, Penn State.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a 16-10, but Penn State, they make their living playing in Happy Valley. And like you said, Franklin went into 2 big games, but it's different. He snuck away the one on the road. This one here will definitely get done. Whether they get by the margin, it's a different story, but this will be a fun game to watch. And surprisingly, how nice Harson's done with that team early on with Auburn. He looks like he's got them clicking really well down there in Auburn.
All right, DJ, Penn State, Auburn.
I talked about a few weeks ago about Penn State being one of those teams like you never know what you're going to get. It's going to be a whiteout today. All of the hype, it almost sounds like Auburn should just pack their stuff and go the other way, the way people talk about it. But, with Harsin over there at Auburn, I think he kind of made Bo Nix a little more accountable and a little better. So I wouldn't keep tagging on his old baggage with his new coach because they kind of run things different. And that's another advantage for Auburn in this one is that Penn State, they're not really sure what Harson's going to come out or how he's going to, attack things. And I mean, when he was at Boise, amazing coach, can go from a tough running game to a passing game and also play defense as well. And Auburn already has the athletes there. All he has to do is get them to put it together on the field. So I lean hard on Auburn in this one to come and upset Penn State. This might be one of those spots where, Penn State just falls out of control as usual. So this might be one of those spots if you want to pinpoint it.
All right, Utah State, Air Force. We've got Air Force 9-point home favorites, 54 the total. Mentioned this game on the Monday show early in the week. I like Utah State plus the points. Look at what a difference a good coach can make. Gary Anderson was a disaster. They bring in another Anderson, but a much better Anderson as a coach, Blake Anderson from Arkansas State, and he's already done a great job. They upset Washington State in week 1, a very good win last week as well. They've got he brought in the quarterback Logan Bonner with him that he had as his quarterback at Arkansas State. The offense is rolling, the defense is improving. And I don't like the spot in the situation for Air Force. Commander-in-Chief trophy matchup against Navy last week, big game for them. Now they're laying big points. I don't usually like to think there's a hangover for Service Academy kids because they're wired differently. But still, it's tough to lay this many points. The secondary, again, we talk about it. They don't have great pass defenses. I think Utah State could exploit that a bit. I think we have a close game here. I like the points with Utah State 2-0 against the spread as well. They've crushed the point spread in the first 2 games. They're an undervalued team. They were bad last year, but now you got a coach in there that's good, knows what he's doing. Undervalued Utah State. I'm on them plus the points here tonight. Conor Mac, what do you think? Utah State, Air Force.
Yeah, how good's Air Force? They pulled away late, but Navy's pretty bad, as we've seen. And, of course, 123-3. I think this could be a dogfight a little bit. And, yeah, I even see a 9.5. I doubt, it gets to 10. But I think there is a little value with Utah State. We'll see. This will be a big one. But I think plus the points here is the play.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, this is another case in point for the portal system and first-year eligibility and coaches bringing players with them. It's a great point here. And this Utah State, even though my man does it best right next to me, I got to agree with Conor here. I think this team is up to speed early on in the coaching career at Utah State. And I think it's going to be closer than the number indicates. I see like a 3-point, 4-point differential, not 8.5, 9 points, 10.
All right. What do you think, DJ? Utah State, Air Force.
Man, you know what? Since this show's kind of, mellowing out, I'm gonna spice it up a little bit here, and I'm gonna go Utah State money line.
Wow,
it's the upset of the day right here. Like, we going into conference play. This Blake Anderson guy, man, you got to know about college sports. Like, you got to be in touch with the players and all that. And the players love this guy. I mean, this guy had players come, like Bonner came with him from Arkansas State. He had Justin Rice drop what he was doing and move from Fresno State over here to Utah State. And they've been working with it. They 2-0 so far. They into some conference play right here. Blake Anderson is up for the job. He got him moving in the right direction. And it's not rough. Like, if coming from outside the Mountain West to play Air Force, it's not rough to lock down that option attack that they have, or at least maintain it to where you have a chance in the game. And I think Blake Anderson can do that by far. And I think the tail is not all the way told with some of the other athletes. He got a lot of plug-and-play players in there, the transfers that he put in there that just ain't broken out the box yet. And I think the ceiling is way higher for Utah State than it is for Air Force in the Mountain West. So I'm going to say Utah State marks a foot in the sand right here, and money line, play of the day for me.
Play of the day, too. Wow.
No,
plus
I like it.
Plus 280, by the way, on the money line for Utah State.
It's not a crazy road game either. They play in high altitude, Utah State. Yeah. So, that's why I like it too.
I just think the betting markets have been way off on Utah State the first 2 games because they crushed the point spread. They were 17-point dogs against Washington State in the first game. They won outright. He's got his quarterback, too, from Arkansas State as well. Bonner. And a good coach, and Gary Anderson was a disaster, but look what a good coach can do. All of a sudden, look at the difference in 2 games. So we're all liking the dog here a little bit. Virginia, North Carolina. North Carolina, 8-point home favorite, 66.5 the total in this one. Virginia has covered 4 straight head-to-head against North Carolina, and won and covered as a dog each of the last 2 years against this North Carolina team for Bronco Mendenhall against Mac Brown. So something to keep in mind there that Virginia's matched up well with them, and they've been good in the underdog role. Yeah, they beat up Georgia State, but let's not forget they had a rough first game against. I'm not ready to lay more than a touchdown with North Carolina here. I'd be looking at Virginia. I like the way Brennan Armstrong threw the ball last week. And by the way, I really like the over in this game. I talked about this on Monday's show. I bet the over early in the week. It was 44-41 last year between these 2 teams. It was a shootout. I like the look of the passing game for Virginia last week against Illinois. an Illinois defense that played well last night against Maryland. So that makes that 44-point or that big output they scored last week, 42 points against Illinois, look even more impressive. I like the dog and I like the over here, Virginia UNC. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, give me the dog here. Virginia's just been so good in that role. You look at Bronco Mendenhall, Virginia, and the other side, North Carolina is just, this is too big a number for them. That defense is not good. Their top corner went out. Their running backs are banged up. I know you have Hal. He'll do his thing, and they'll score points. But this is Virginia. They cover this, and, you got to sprinkle. I'm going to sprinkle money line as well here. I think they get the outright win.
All right, Big Ragoo, what do you think?
I think the total set way too high in this game. Even though Virginia's, they say the defense is not good, they still yielded 17 points in both games early on, and Virginia's offense is not a prolific offense. We know the coach here, he lives and dies by his defense also. So, and then if you're going to use DJ's method, go Contreras and go over, but not me. I'm all about the under in this game. Total's way too high.
All right, liking the under here, Virginia, North Carolina. DJ, what do you think? Virginia, UNC?
Man, I'd be looking to fade Mac Brown all day. I think he's overrated. Sam Howell is overrated. I think that, last year they experienced some stuff, some turmoil within the team early on. That's what brought them together to look a little impressive last year. And the fire is gone over there. Even if this was college basketball, I would probably lean Virginia the way that UNC was playing last year in basketball. So, in this spot right here, I take the points and take Virginia all day, man. I'm looking for every chance I can to fade Mac Brown. He's on his way. They on their way out of the top 25. He may be on his way out of North Carolina. We don't know. And the Sam Howell guy, I don't know how they put him as a Heisman candidate. This dude is trash to me. I haven't seen it at all.
All right, we've got Central Michigan, LSU. LSU 19-point home favorite, 60.5 the total. This is a game I think could get up and over the total. I like Central Michigan's offense with Jacob Sermon. He's played well at quarterback. Washington didn't keep him. He transferred out of Washington, but they kept this Dylan Morris guy who can't play. Go figure. Maybe Washington made a mistake letting Jacob Sermon go to Central Michigan because he's played well. Remember, he moved the ball against Missouri. They were right in that game for most of it. Respectable loss for the Chippewas against Missouri. I don't trust LSU right before SEC play. I know they lost to UCLA. Maybe they're chomping at the bit to bounce back, but they got SEC play coming up. And Jim McElwain, head coach of Central Michigan, 8-5 as a dog against the spread here with Central Michigan. They've been a good dog team to support catching points. I'd lean dog, and I'd lean over the total here with Central Michigan, LSU. I do worry about the Central defense, though. LSU should be able to move the ball and score points with Max Johnson, the quarterback, who, of course, is now the quarterback all year for LSU with Brennan out for the year, Miles Brennan. So Max Johnson, this is his job. I think they'll move the ball. I think it'll be high scoring, but I think the dog might be able to hang inside this number. Jim McElwain's got a good track record cashing tickets as a dog in it here with Central Michigan. Conor Mac, what do you think? Central Michigan, LSU.
Yeah, LSU wins here. I don't want anything part of it. Central Michigan might cover, but I'm not going to pay for it to see it. So pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I was all about LSU beating UCLA on my best bet, and that went up like a pack of flames. But I'm not going to go. I'm not going to play on LSU in this spot either. I think McElwain, like you said, in the dog roll, and he's coaching the SEC. He knows how to, he knows how to scheme against these type of teams here. So it's Central Michigan or pass here. I think it's too many points on the road, and like you said, getting ready for SEC play next week. So it's a good bet on spot for Central Michigan, I think.
All right, DJ.
Hey, that seat over there for Orgeron is getting hot and hot and hot and hot and hot. And, sometimes when coaches' seats start getting hot, they start falling apart, man. Inside, it's just too much drama. I'm not looking to lay any points with LSU right here. They lucky every win they get from here on out.
Woo!
Yeah, you know what? It's starting to look like it was a one-hit wonder, right? Joe Burrow, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for LSU and for Eddie O. Ed Orgeron.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then when those guys gone, it goes right. And his seat was hot at the time when they brought in Burrows and all them, and that saved him a little more time. Now he's just hung out here to dry. Like, nobody gonna invest money into that again. We already got the championship. Go sit down for a few years. So he's on his way out the door, man.
I mean, that was an ugly second half against UCLA for LSU, and that's what worries me a little bit here. I thought this would be a big bounce back year, but now I'm pumping the brakes a little. We'll see how they play today because Central's no pushover. Next up, we got UAB, North Texas. UAB 12-point road favorites, 58 the total. This is a dog or pass for me. UAB, I don't like laying this many with them. They're a plodding offense. They have a good defense, but they're a plodding offense, and they've kind of struggled to move the ball at times this year. North Texas does have a solid offense, and the back door could be open late in this game. And I thought they played better against SMU than I thought. I was impressed, believe it or not, and I was even impressed with their defense. They had a terrible defense last year, North Texas, but Seth Luttrell's team looks better on defense this year. The offense is still very capable of putting up points. I've been impressed with the North Carolina transfer, Jace Reuter, at the quarterback spot here for North Texas early in the year. I'm leaning Mean Green here as a home dog. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yep, UAB I think is the better football team, but go on the road. North Texas, this night game, double-digit dog at home. Take North Texas.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't like UAB with playing this kind of wood. I like them in a dog roll. I like what Bill Clark does with that squad. Luttrell, like you said, they're on the improve here, so it's Mean Green or pass plus.
All right, DJ.
It's a total pass for me, man. I don't want no parts of that fight.
All right, Stanford, Vanderbilt. Stanford 13-point road favorites, 48.5 the total. I cashed a ticket with Vanderbilt last week. Am I ready to jump on the bandwagon again this week? Not so much. Because, look, Stanford was damn impressive. And Tanner McKee, they made the quarterback change, and it makes me think, what the fuck did David Shaw see in Jack West to make him the starter? Because he puts Tanner McKee in against Kansas State. They move the ball immediately after doing nothing. And then Tanner McKee is slicing and dicing USC last Saturday night in the Coliseum. So that could be a dangerous, quarterback moving forward. I don't trust Vanderbilt necessarily. That was more of a fade Colorado State than a wow. I'm really anxious to expect improvement here from this Vanderbilt team. So for me right now, I'm not involved in I'm not laying this many with Stanford, non-conference game on the road. But I'm definitely looking at this as a situation where I would lean Vanderbilt, but not going to get there. Looks like I have my camera. What happened to it? But we'll see if we can get that fixed. Big Ragoo, what do you think here? Stanford and Vandy.
This is what I call the brain bowl, right? You got the brains of the West versus the brains of the East. But I think their talent-wise, I think they're going to be up against it more or less. And Vanderbilt, their running game terrific. They can't get nothing going on the ground. And then sometimes, like you say, the question, the very vanilla play of Stanford. I mean, I don't want to back it, but I think it's indicative. We got a big line move up on from like 10 to 12 and a half here. So I'm not going to get involved with the game either way. But normally I'd be all over in Vandy in a dog roll and an out-of-conference game, but not here. So it's either Stanford or pass.
All right, DJ, what do you think? Stanford, Vandy.
Hey, I must say that I called that Stanford USC game to the T last week with Brian Shaw slowing the game down, even opened up a chance and came home with the victory. Now, Vandy beat a horrible Colorado State team. They're not going to get none of that out of Stanford. Even with their little bland offense that they run, they still have better athletes right there. So I think Vandy falls in place. The Pac-12 gets a win over the SEC right here, so they'll be happy with that. So I like Stanford or pass.
All right, Stanford or pass. Next up, Rice and Texas. Texas 26-point home favorites, 52 the total. Is this redemption for Texas? Potentially. I mean, they're not going to be happy about that performance against Arkansas last week. Quarterback change for Sark. Steve Sarkisian making the switch here. No more Hudson Card, going with Casey Thompson. And the last time we saw Casey Thompson at quarterback for Texas, guys, he had a great bowl game against Colorado last year. He shredded that team, played extremely well. He's been around this program for a while. I'd expect Texas to play a lot better. Not going to lay the 26, but obviously Rice, what a debacle for them last week against Houston. Terrible performance for the Owls. It feels like a get-right spot for Texas, but I'm going to stop short of laying 26. Lean to the favorite, but I'm going to pass. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
it's a jaded team for me, Rice, when I go against them. But you know what? In this spot, I mean, McCaffrey throwing the 3 picks last week looked awful. He's more of an option type quarterback, run first. And too much pressure to pass. I think Texas' defense is going to bring the heat to them. So I'm going to lay the wood with Texas here. It's going to be a play on laying the wood with Texas.
Lay the wood with Texas. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer that than the dog. Yes. DJ, what do you think?
I lean to the under on this one. I agree with Big Ragoo. Texas defense is going to show up today. So with that being said, the offense, they switching stuff around. I don't know how explosive they'll be today. So I think they may pitch a shutout in this one, and it stays under.
Tulane, Ole Miss. We've got Ole Miss 14-point home favorite. 77 is the total now. And look, I bet the total at 74. And I'm worried because I thought that this could be extreme shootout written all over it, but I didn't expect the total to keep going up. I was actually worried it might go down. It didn't. It actually still kept going up. Look, Tulane's got a real offense. Michael Pratt is a good quarterback. He can run. He can throw. We saw what he did against Oklahoma a few weeks ago, 35 points again on the road against the Sooners. And Ole Miss, I think their defense is better, but I think Tulane can score a little better. They got a lot of playmakers. Good offense, Tulane. And obviously, Ole Miss is going to do whatever they want offensively with Matt Corral, that loaded offense against Tulane's defense that did struggle against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's offense got rolling against that Tulane defense. I think Ole Miss offensively will as well. Don't know if I'll lay 14. I like both of these teams. I'd rather bet on them than bet against, but I bet over 74. Now I'm getting it's getting up there now. 77's a lot, but I'd be worried about the under in this game. That's for sure. Conor Mac is back. What do you think, Conor Mac? We're talking Tulane, Ole Miss.
I had nothing on this one. The points were way up. I think Ole Miss wins. We talked about earlier, but I can't lay 2 touchdowns with them here. I'd actually take Tulane with the points or pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't find value in either way. I try to break this game down both ways, and I think there's going to be a ton of points, obviously, but uphill battle, climbing that ladder all the way up past 70, and probably Tulane. They might keep it close. They might get a back door possibly in that scenario, up and down the field. So I would have to lean with Tulane getting the points, if anything.
Yeah, I would say.
And look for Matt Corral. He's going to be a Heisman candidate without a doubt this year.
No doubt that he's off to a good start, and he was playing pretty good football last year for them too. So definitely one of the better quarterbacks, not only in the SEC but the country. DJ, what do you think? Tulane, Ole Miss.
Hey, I'm all aboard on the Ole Miss train, man. I like what they got going on over there on the defense. The defense of the secondaries that can hold teams to well under 200 yards passing. That's where you want to be, and I definitely lean under in that big time. I think it's probably like a past misconception, thinking that they're gonna score all these points and stuff like that. The defense at Ole Miss is nice, man. They took another approach. They didn't take the size approach. They took the speed approach to their athletes on defense, and it's working well for them right now. I'm gonna love to see when they get into some more conference play, when they have to see those big boys, if they're gonna be able to outrun them at that time. But right for now, I'm on the Ole Miss train. I'm laying the 14. Let's go.
Laying the 14. Yeah, I'm not going against Ole Miss. I worry about the back door being open, but I'm high on Ole Miss. I'm not betting against them. Oklahoma State, Boise State. Boise 3.5-point home favorites, 57.5 the total. Definitely issues with the offense for Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders, up and down, injuries along the offensive line that are a little bit of a concern here for Oklahoma State. But Boise State, they played, they lost to UCF. They beat up UTEP, but a lot of that was turnovers, mistakes by UTEP. I still like Mike Gundy whenever he's an underdog, even with the offensive concerns. I'm definitely looking toward Oklahoma State or pass in this game, getting more than a field goal. Even on the blue turf, they've still struggled on the blue turf. Long term, I've got Boise at 24 and 35 against the spread at home. 11 below 500, so not great for them covering numbers at home the last several years. Boise State. Conor Mac, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm off here. Some money's come in for Oklahoma State. This line's come down. If I see Boise, if it got, to a 2.5, I might take them. There's still question marks with Oklahoma State, but it hasn't been enough here. This will be a big test for them going there, Boise State. So I just didn't have a feel on either side here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
It's Oak State or pass for me. I haven't made my mind up yet. I got to do a little bit more studying later in the day. No, I'm not helping the chat out at all, but it's Oak State or pass.
All right, DJ.
I looked into this one pretty good. I don't want to. Of course, I'm gonna lean Mountain West with Boise, but I'm not gonna play a side on this one. I'm gonna go what I've been saying about the defense over there at Boise was kind of true. The UTEP game got kind of out of hand and it got a little up there, but the first half you see that those boys come to play a little defense. So I'm gonna go either first half under or full game under. And that one, Oklahoma State has some good defense as well. I think it's a slow-paced game, and they slug it out on the field and stay under the total.
All right, Arizona State, BYU. Arizona State, 3.5-point road favorites, 50 the total. Got to be worried a little about the spot for BYU. Huge win in the Holy War against Utah. Can they follow it up? Although they get this game at home against Arizona State. I did get Arizona State at below a field goal early this week, 3.5. I still lean Sun Devils. I like this team. Jaden Daniels, I like him at quarterback. I like the playmakers. I like the defense. I still think BYU is going to have a trip up maybe in this spot. I don't love the number as much now, but I lean to the road favorite here, Arizona State. I like that team. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, BYU struggled in that first game against Arizona. Didn't cover. The big win against Utah. I haven't been impressed by Arizona State so far this year. I thought last year I was a little bit. Man, they were sleepwalking through UNLV there, and trying to turn it on and 3 touchdowns and at the end of the game. I lean under in this game. I think BYU wants to control it, kind of like the first 2 games they had, control the clock, and I'd only be on BYU plus the 3.5. Either way, I think it's close, and I'd rather have the points of the home team than laying it on the road.
All right, what do you think, Big Ragoo?
I'm with Connor all the way in this one. Even though they had that big win against Utah, I think they get it. They stay focused here because they got South Florida on deck, and I like BYU's defense. Okay, I think Daniels is doing too much, trying to get too cute running the ball an awful lot. He's gonna have to settle down and pass on his team a little bit. So I do like Arizona State too, but I like the home dog catching the points, and I like the money line also. So I'm on plus the points and money line in the spot.
All right, liking BYU. I've definitely underrated BYU so far. Maybe I've done so again. We'll see. DJ, what do you think?
I don't know. It's difficult. You got the celebrity coaching staff over there at Arizona State. They've been doing pretty good too. Not much to say about the offense, but they do play a lot of defense. And BYU showed that they could play some defense as well last week. So I agree with everybody on the panel with the under 100% in this one. And I would lay BYU almost every time this year. Like BYU is a main factor to the conference play teams shifting around and all that. They're coming out of independent and they want to come over into a conference. So it's like a big sales pitch the whole year for them. So I would back them, especially with a small line like this. I would back BYU, even though I like Arizona State and the celebrity coaching staff. I like what they got going on, but the offense sputters at time, but they come with the defense every time. So I like the under with everybody else in that one.
All right, liking the under. Iowa State, UNLV. Iowa State, 32-point road favorites, 52.5 the total. I'm not involved in this game. I don't want to take UNLV. They're that bad. It's a program in disarray. But we got to talk about Iowa State here for a minute. They barely beat Northern Iowa. They struggled against Iowa. Brock Purdy, Breece Hall in the offense hasn't looked right. And you got to imagine they're very disappointed losing to Iowa last week. I mean, they thought this was finally the year. They beat the Hawkeyes. They were favored in the game, and they still lost to Iowa. I'm not rushing to lay this many with Iowa State, even though it's hard to make a case for UNLV. So I'm passing. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Oh, this is a pass for me. Iowa State should come back and have an easy win. UNLV showed a little bit that last week at Arizona State, then got blown out. I just can't take UNLV. I want to take these 32 points. I just can't do it with this team. They're so bad. All
right, Big Ragoo.
I got a game plan for Iowa State. We get Connor to take all the team out for drinks the night before, right? Take them out. But it's too late now. I'll say next time, Connor. But anyways, I worry about these kids showing up in Vegas from Iowa, having a good time out there. But UNLV, they don't have a whole lot going on. I mean, they got blasted by Eastern Washington and Arizona State, second-year coach Arroyo. That's a lot of wood to lay. And Iowa State usually plays close games. That's their forte, But 31 points out in Las Vegas, that's got all the signs of a dead pass.
Yeah, definitely. And you worry about that distractions. Iowa boys in Las Vegas, the Strip, is there distractions? DJ, what do you think?
If it's any spot on the card that I'm going to take points with a big dog, it's going to be with this UNLV team. I mean, I watched this team get beat on week in, week out, and they show spurts of being good. They start off games positively, and then somehow it just gets way far away from them. And in that Allegiant Stadium, man, that place got to be paid for. So at some point, they got to turn that around and pull out a W out their ass somehow. So this Iowa State team could be one of the most overrated teams in college football and be steadily going down a slippery slope. So give me all them 30-something points and put these wild. I mean, they got some decent athletes at UNLV. I don't know. It seems like maybe it's coaching again. And it seems like it's just not all put together. And it's strange to say it's coaching because the university invested into this damn team and they thought they were getting a quality coach with a Royal. I thought they was getting a quality coach. Year one, granted the COVID, he didn't get a chance to prepare, but he had all the preparation and everything he had. I thought they were focused, but I don't think so. But I'll take them today plus the points, maybe half a unit. I ain't going to mess with it too deep.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see who the quarterback is too, Brumfeld or Rogers. Brumfeld got injured, and it might be Justin Rogers who got benched for Brumfeld before Brumfeld got injured again. So quarterback for UNLV.
Can I say one thing? DJ, my power ratings does have UNLV at a 10-point advantage, so hopefully you like that.
Man, I like those power ratings.
All right. Maybe that gives UNLV a puncher's chance to go fight.
Maybe I'll sprinkle some on the money line. That would be nice.
Yeah. All right, we're down to our last two games. Fresno, UCLA. UCLA 11-point home favorite, 63.5 the total. Fresno took Oregon to the wire a couple weeks ago on the road in Eugene. Be careful. I know UCLA's look good. Waxed Hawaii, beat down LSU, ran away from LSU in the second half. But is this the spot you want to be buying high on at UCLA, laying 11? I'm not so sure. And Fresno can play. They can throw the football around. Jake Hayner, they had no fear of Oregon, when they played them a couple weeks ago. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken here, let me just double check on this with this game. Fresno State, they did play last week, but it was an easy win, 63-10 over Cal Poly. I thought they might have been coming in off a bye, but they hung tough with Oregon, lost by 7. I think they hang in there. I like the dog here a little bit. I also think there's points, so I lean over. Fresno and over for me in this one. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, they can score. That's what I think keeps them in this game. UCLA's riding high, and they did get the big win there, LSU. But like we talked about, I'm a little down on LSU. So how big was that win? I still see UCLA losing a few games in Pac-12 play. And, that's too high. This number's too high. Hayner can throw it around. I think Fresno's defense is a little bit better. We saw it in the Oregon game. So give me the 11 points, and there will be points. UCLA last year played in the 30s every game, it seemed like. Lost a lot of close ones. They might win this one, but it'll be, I think like 38-30, something like that. I think this game gets over the total as well.
All right, Big Ragoo, Fresno, UCLA.
Yeah, I think UCLA is getting a lot of love. They're in the spotlight. They're going to take. Are they LA's new team, DJ? I don't know yet. Everybody's going to fall up on UCLA now, but Thompson, he's got Thompson Robinson's got some high expectation. He's throwing the rock around the yard pretty well now, and then UCLA defensively, they can give it up too. So I like Fresno to kind of keep it close, and then maybe UCLA pulls away late, But I'm not on the game either way. But I see points both ways in this game too.
All right, DJ, what do you think?
I think we missed a lot of stuff on this one right here, man. I'm high on UCLA. This is kind of a revenge game for Kelly because Fresno State got one up on them before, so he's coming off a bye week. Also, so he's coming off a bye, playing in a spot that he really wants his money back from Fresno State. And the thing about UCLA, why I'm backing them so tough this year, is because they proved to me that it's not so much the system, it's the players. He really brought in some quality players. They're really that quality team that's a little notch up. This Mountain West team is not going to get them this year with the people. And the people that they have that's leveling them up quality-wise are mostly on defense. And that's where they should shine. Even though Fresno State has an awesome awesome offensive program that they got going on over there. But I think these big guys at UCLA, and they all over the field, they putting the pressure and everything. I think they slow Fresno State down. I think it's a big misconception on the total, and it goes under 64. And I'm also back in UCLA and laying the points.
All right, liking UCLA and liking the game under the total, which means we're going to have somebody winning in this game here on the show today. San Jose State and Hawaii, final game. San Jose State 7-point road favorite, 61.5, 62 the total. I lay the points with San Jose State. They're off a bye. They've dominated Hawaii. Hawaii's 0-3 against the spread. They've looked much worse than I thought they would under Todd Graham. The defense has been shredded by UCLA, by Portland State, by every team they've played. They have not been able to get stops, this Hawaii defense. Disappointing with all the production they brought back on defense. It just hasn't happened for them. San Jose State off a bye. They're 4-0 against the spread, last 4 against Hawaii. Brent Brennan with extra time to prepare. I trust him. He's a great coach in this spot. Time to get acclimated to playing on the island there in Hawaii. I think they win this game minimum of 7 points. Much better defense, too. I mean, compared to the way Hawaii's played on defense. And I think Nick Starkel, that run game and the offense, and Nick Starkel at quarterback can have their way against that Hawaii defense. So I think San Jose wins this game by margin. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I'm leaning there. One problem is they go to Hawaii, and it's not easy to cover. Hawaii is not very good on the mainland, but at home, they hang around. I like San Jose State, too. I haven't got to the window. It's just a lean, but Hawaii could be live here. They'll be able to score, I think. So it's a tough one for me. I'm still really thinking about it.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm no Mountain West expert, but I know, like, if I was in Hawaii, and I know a lot of these kids are used to probably going back and forth over there playing in conference, so no big deal there. So you can take that factor out. But like Conor says, usually Hawaii is a better team at home. You know, they hang around. But I don't think this is the same Hawaii teams we've seen over the years, especially even last year for that matter. So their defense has been horrific. And I think they're probably a touchdown better, but I'm not going to play the game. But I would have to go San Jose or pass.
I mean, 477 yards allowed to Portland State, 558 to Oregon State last week. I mean, to see this was supposed to be a defense that was supposed to be pretty good, or at least much better for Todd Graham in Hawaii. It has not been the case. It's been very disappointing, the defensive side of the ball for Hawaii. What do you think, DJ?
Man, San Jose State gonna kick the shit out of Hawaii. Brent Brenner and his coaching is way better than with Todd Graham. Todd Graham is going down and down and down. Like, he brought back a high school team out there on defense for Hawaii. And Starkel's a super senior, right? He's like a 6th or 7th year senior. He's he traveled before and all that good stuff. And a whole bunch of their players on San Jose State, they've traveled. It's cool. They're not tripping on going to the thing. They're gonna go over there and beat them up. So they got to, because if they want to have a chance, and that's why all 8 of them on defense stayed to be super seniors as well, is because they want to have a chance at going back to the Mountain West Championship. And Hawaii's a small way through that. That's the least of their problems right now. So I think they cover big time. I'll take them by 10.
All right, liking San Jose State, DJ Big Boss as well. That's the Saturday card. Best bets in a second, but first, messages from the sponsors. All right, Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, make sure you stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Manscaped, promo code PubSports to get 20% off your purchase. And MyBookie.ag, promo code PubSports. Football season's here. Hockey and basketball start next month. Sign up for an account, MyBookie.ag. Bitcoin accepted currency for your deposit. MyBookie.ag, promo code PubSports. Time for best bets to wrap up the show. We'll start with you, Conor Mac. What do you like for your college football Saturday best bet?
I'm going one circle. I love a bunch of teams plus points and home dogs, of course, but I'm going Virginia +8. They not only stay in that game, they might win it against North Carolina. Too big a number there. They cover Virginia
All right,
+8.
Virginia +8 against North Kakalaki. Best bet for Conor Mac. Big Ragoo, what do you got for best bet?
I got a best bet and an alternate just in case you can't get my best bet down. I want the team total over 7.5 South Carolina. If you can get down that, if you can't, get to the Mormon window and take BYU +5.
There you go. South Carolina team total over 7.5. You can't find that. Plan B, BYU plus the points against Arizona State. Best bets for Big Ragoo. DJ Big Boss, best bet.
Man, my best bet's been horrible on this show. Thank God it's only one bet. But I'm gonna jump all the way out of the room and go to the FCS in this Jackson State Louisiana Monroe matchup with Deion Sanders and this wonderful defense that he's been bringing out there, and I'm gonna go under in that game.
Oh,
So
no,
What's
FCS
the number?
action.
What is it?
I'll pull it up.
Let me just check here. Jackson State, there it is. Jackson State, UL Monroe under 52. There you go.
Yeah.
52.5. Yeah. Best bet
Give me the
there.
under right there.
Liking the under in a little Jackson State, UL Monroe action there. Yes.
Prime time action.
Yeah,
Prime
prime time.
time.
Deion Sanders on the sideline. Absolutely. Best bet for me. Let's go with SMU Louisiana Tech over 65 is the best number out there. Shootout potential between those two teams. Louisiana Tech, weak secondary so far that's been exploited. SMU, good passing team. And Louisiana Tech, Austin Kendall's played well at quarterback. I think they'll trade points, higher scoring affair. SMU, Louisiana Tech over 65 for my best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Saturday College Football Kickoff Show. We'll be back next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. We'll do it all over again for Conor Mac, Big Ragoo, DJ Big Boss. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you next Saturday again right here on Pub Sports Radio for the College Football Kickoff Show.